Already a deadly and destructive Easter Sunday across parts of the South. Tornadoes across several states, including this one that ripped across parts of Alabama. Look at that view, that cone that's dropped down from the cloud towards the ground. That is the tornado. And the storm motion today is roughly, 60 to 70 miles per hour? If you're not seeing that move clearly left or right, it's either moving directly towards you or directly away from you. And these storms are hauling. And Liana, that threat continues tonight.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've already had some damage left behind. Take a look. This video from Laurel, Mississippi. The National Weather Service already saying this likely was an EF4 or EF5 that did this. The Mississippi Emergency Management Agency confirmed that 6 people were killed across the state today, Mark. Oof.
Yeah, difficult day for sure. Tornadoes also left major destruction in Louisiana. This video from Monroe, you can see the scope of the damage here, and this is just the beginning. This from Monroe, where a tornado damaged several businesses, including a trucking company. If you look carefully, you can actually see a couple of the big rigs there flipped over. And not only that, but power is out to thousands already tonight. And as we mentioned, the threat does continue tonight. So we're staying live tonight through the night, tracking the severe weather and the tornado threat across the South. A few tornado warnings ongoing, lots of flash flooding, severe thunderstorms, and a bunch of wind. So let's start breaking this down for you threat by threat. We want to go into the lab. Storm specialist Carl Parker is here tracking it with us tonight as well. Carl.
Yeah, Mark, a very dangerous night tonight, and we are looking at some ongoing warnings right now, and we expect that because the atmosphere is really energetic, this is going to continue well into the overnight hours, and so the threat is not going to diminish as it typically does as we get deeper into the evening. So let's begin with a look at where we're seeing some warnings right now, and looking at a warning into northern parts of Georgia, that is north of the Atlanta metro area, and this is an ongoing tornado warning right now in effect for areas near Dalton. And zooming in on that, seeing some rotation showing up. It's not quite as well defined as it was moments ago. You see just south of Dalton, right in that area, we were looking at a little bit more of a well-defined area of rotation. That appears to be sort of gusting out, as we say, at this time. So I think a little less of a tornado threat at this time, but certainly something that we want to keep our eyes on. Now, as we take you farther off towards the west, this is the area where it's been really active through the afternoon and will continue to be into the evening as well. You see a lot of rain coming down in northern parts of Alabama. That may help things out somewhat, where you're getting a good bit of rain. If it's been raining for hours and hours, that's going to keep temperatures down a little bit, and it's going to make the atmosphere a little bit more stable. And so that may help you out in terms of mitigating that threat somewhat. But again, you've got a really energetic atmosphere tonight, and for that reason, we do expect that there's going to be quite a bit of activity well through the evening hours. Farther to the southwest, we've been watching this area here in western parts of Alabama, as well as into eastern Mississippi. Right now, we're not seeing any warnings along this line, but this line, this basic line, is the one that we think could be really prolific going through the night tonight, producing potentially more tornadoes, certainly a damaging wind threat, and that's going to go on right through the overnight hours. So this is why we say we want you to be really, really aware of what's going on with these storms. Ongoing flash flood warning now near Meridian. That is Lauderdale County under warning until 8:15 Central Time. Now taking it much farther north and west, looking at some severe warnings. One of those into the Little Rock area. In fact, you can see this great big sort of backward C shape right there. Some pretty strong wind. The apex of that to the north of Little Rock, but certainly potential for some damaging wind coming into Little Rock. And another little bow echo, as we call it, again, that's sort of a C shape there, backward C shape, coming into Cleveland, Grant, and Jefferson counties, and that is going until 8:30 tonight. Now, as we take you farther east, this is really a key to all of this. We're seeing very strong low-level winds. We call this a low-level jet, and so these winds getting up to 50 to 60 to 70 miles per hour at about 5,000 feet, and coming in at an angle relative to the surface flow. And so that change in wind speed and direction in the lowest levels of the atmosphere is a big part of what gets the lowest part of the storm rotating, and that's the beginning of the process. It's a lot more that happens, but that's the beginning of the process that leads to tornadoes. And so when you've got these really strong low-level jets, That's when you have to be concerned about an ongoing tornado threat, and that is only going to get stronger as we go through the night tonight. It's not going to weaken. It's actually going to get stronger into the overnight hours and into early tomorrow morning because we've got such a strong parent system that is driving this. Another part of this is what we call convective available potential energy. How much energy is there for these storms to feed on? And there's plenty of that. There's no shortage of that at all. You see where we've got the red coloring there. That's where it's sufficient. You get into that orange and yellow color. That's where you're getting into the higher end potential energy. But you've got that all along this line here from Georgia back through Alabama and back into Mississippi. So there's, again, no shortage of potential energy for these storms. So let's take this forward and show you the model forecast. And what I've got on here is that low-level jet superimposed. And so we're looking at winds, and we're cut it off at 60 miles per hour plus, and we're seeing where that coincides with these storms going through the next few hours. So we'll take this ahead into 11 o'clock Central Time, midnight Eastern Time, and you notice you've got this big line of storms, but there's a broken line there, especially as you get into parts of Alabama. And so what that is showing us is embedded supercells driven in large part by this very strong wind shear. This really strong low-level jet is contributing to that. Stronger winds higher up in the atmosphere as well. And you see all these discrete cell structures. You notice these individual shapes right in there, and then right in there. So that's supercell storms that are developing in parts of Alabama, ongoing in parts of Alabama, and coming into northern Georgia. Any one of those storms is going to be capable of not just producing tornadoes, but possibly some long-track tornadoes, violent tornadoes as well. And so, as I say, this is going to be an elevated threat that is going to continue for some time. Now, in areas where you've seen a lot of rain, that may mitigate the threat somewhat. You see up there into perhaps parts of Tennessee and North Georgia. If it's just raining and raining and raining, that's going to help out a little bit. Not completely, but it'll help out a little bit. But in areas where you really haven't seen much rain, and notice there into parts of southeast Alabama, as well as into west central Georgia, in those spots, the atmosphere is going to be plenty warm and humid enough to feed into these supercell storms. And so that's why we're going to continue to see this ongoing threat. It's certainly not going to be getting really cool overnight tonight. In fact, it's actually going to be getting warmer in a lot of areas as the winds out of the south only increase. We'll take this deeper into the evening hours. So here we are at 1 o'clock Central Time, 2 o'clock Eastern Time. You notice the line is coming into Atlanta right in there. And again, we've got these embedded supercell storms. So we certainly could be talking about tornado-producing storms at that time coming into the Atlanta metro. And this is one of those situations where you've got to have a way to be notified. You've got to have your phone on, whatever it is. You've got to have some way to be able to be awake when these storms are coming through, because they very well could be tornado-producing storms. So please keep that in mind, folks, in the Atlanta area, whether it's a matter of just staying up tonight or having your phone on and next to your bed. Mark, we want people to really be on their toes tonight. Over to you.
Yeah, those overnight threats add that added layer of complexity and difficulty, both for a communication standpoint and for making sure that people get those warnings. What we're doing now is looking in on Laurel, Mississippi. We have a view coming in from one of our storm trackers. John Humphreys is in the area. And what you're looking at here are the first responders coming in to try to clear out the roads. On this camera, we've seen kind of street after street and row after row of trees down and power lines down. These cars are stopped here partially because people keep getting out of the cars with their chainsaws and they're clearing the road, but also because you can't keep going. Those lights off in the distance, that's where the road is closed. There is no way through. There are so many trees down. And here's some of that debris. If you look carefully, you can see some tree debris that is kind of blown across this road. But at times, as I was monitoring this camera while Carl was talking to us about the active weather still ongoing, there were full trees down across the roads. Yeah, Liana, this is some of that right now.
Yeah, I mean, you can really see it as we're progressing. This is Laurel, Mississippi again. I mean, our storm tracker, like Mark had mentioned, that area with the lights out there in the distance, that's where the road is closed because of all the debris. So, Mark, it's going to be a long night ahead of us for cleanup, but also for more storms developing just east of here as well.
Yeah, and again, you see those flashing lights. We're getting closer and closer to that. That's kind of the conveyor belt of street cleaners and clearers. So we're going to undoubtedly start seeing trees down across the road here, because that's as far as they've gotten.
Look
and
at
so
the
as the the light is illuminated, you can see there's a tree down on the side of the road there, the blue flashing lights off in the distance. So there are crews going out and trying to clear out these roads step by step, tree by tree. They have to be out there first, because if there is a medical emergency, even not related to the storm, these the first responders have to be able to get back into these communities. I want to give you another view. Also in Laurel, Mississippi, this is from Storm Tracker Charles Peak, and here's a great example of that very thing happening. So the bulk of the tree has already been chopped up here. You got all these little pieces, and the whole, there's the fire rescue from, it looks like Calmet maybe, on that coat, and then everyone trying to clear off as much of the road as they can to open it up. So obviously with those kinds of coats on, there's fire trucks there, there's probably the power crews are chomping at the bit to try to help and get everybody back online. There are lots of power outages in this area, and then we're slowly kind of walking our way forward. Look how many people are out trying to clear out this debris. This is not one big tree.
No.
This is forests of big trees that they're out there with the chainsaws already, and that really does say a lot, that they're out there already trying to clear out these roads.
I mean, you brought up a good point, Mark, how dark it is too out in the distance. Normally you would see some street lights, but power is out, so that's why it's so difficult to see out even past this view. But I mean, look at this, is a road right here that we're just seeing all these tree limbs just and debris just strewn across it. So I mean, look how many people are actually out and about. I mean, it's going to be a long night with the damage and cleanup, but I mean, this is what it takes. I mean, and you can see it's a pretty large tree that fell down too. I mean, these are some decent sized limbs, and people are walking around with a chainsaw trying to clear out these larger limbs and break them up into smaller pieces so that they could be easier to pull away. Yeah, this is insane to see this. And like you said, we have to move fast because there can be other emergencies not related to the weather that we need to get these roads cleared so that we can go and help people.
And even if they are trying to get to homes that were hit, businesses that were hit, the true search and rescue and survey and establishing what happened, getting all that information out, none of it can happen until the roads are cleared. Because you can't get to those homes, you can't get to those businesses. So this is a crucial first step. It's a good sign that it's happening. It's a good sign that it's happening in relatively calm weather, because that's not always the case. If you're not familiar with Laurel, Mississippi, it's along I-59, just north of Hattiesburg by a bit, and then south of Meridian by a bit, kind of halfway in between those two cities, right along I-59. So these are all the communities in and around the Laurel area, just off of I-59. And look, you clear one tree, and then there's the next.
Exactly.
There's the next that they have to clear out. No, big cars, no real wheels can come through this until those trees are completely removed, such that a normal car would be able to go over. Want to go back into the lab now. Storm Specialist Carl Parker standing by, and because there's plenty of active weather still ongoing right now, Carl.
Yeah, that's right. We want to take you back into North Georgia, where there is an ongoing tornado warning right now, and actually pretty interesting cell just behind that as well. So here you see the tornado warning in effect for Murray County, that until 9:15. I'm not seeing a whole lot of evidence of rotation here. There is just a little bit showing up near Crandall perhaps, but it's not real profound, certainly not like what you saw near Dalton, right in there, sort of a broader but well-defined area of rotation, and that has really sort of gone away at this time. But take a look at the cell that is in the wake of this. Here's the cell that is under warning, Chattooga County, for severe thunderstorm. I would guess there is a tornado possible tag in this warning. Yes, indeed, tornado possible tag right now. Not a surprise, because look at that. Sure enough, that is a rotating storm. You see that area of green and red right there just east of Somerville, and that is going to be coming up towards Dalton and towards 75. So heads up on that possible rotating storm, certainly a rotating storm, possible tornado coming your way towards Dalton and 75. And these storms are all moving very quickly. That's sort of the hallmark of a big severe weather day. When you've got a lot of wind energy in the atmosphere, storms tend to move very quickly, and this one that's near Somerville is moving northeast at 60 miles per hour. So that's not going to give you a whole lot of time to react by the time the storm is getting into your neighborhood. Now, farther southwest, we notice there's not a ton of activity right now. These are mostly flash flood warnings. There is, however, a new severe thunderstorm warning for Fayette and Walker counties. That's going until 9:15 Central Time. And we've got a pretty good bow showing up there. So concern in this case for 60-mile-per-hour wind as that moves to the east. Let's go ahead and time that out. And that'll be coming towards Jasper in just a few minutes, about 8:20 or so, getting into Cordova 8:26 and Dora at about 8:33 or so. Then to the southwest of that, fairly quiet apart from the flash flood warnings right now. But as we mentioned before, there is a screaming low-level jet coming up through this area. These winds in the blue here, these are winds of 60 miles per hour. And so just a terrific amount of low-level wind shear in the atmosphere. And that is a big part of what is going to fuel two threats, really, the damaging wind threat and also the tornado threat. When you've got a really energetic atmosphere, a very windy atmosphere, that can keep these storms going for quite some time, and that is precisely what we do expect to see tonight. So tornado watches now extending all along that line. We're going to continue our coverage of this severe weather in just a few minutes. Stay with us.
We're all living a new normal. If you are currently facing financial burdens, call your State Farm agent because we're here to help make this new normal feel just a little more normal. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Okay, everyone. Our mission is to provide complete balanced nutrition for strength and energy.
Great tasting Ensure with 9 grams of protein, 27 vitamins and minerals, and nutrients to support immune health.
Goodbye, Fred.
Goodbye, Fred.
What if he gets hungry?
Kohler Revolution 360 with continuous clean. Stays clean 5 times longer.
It's okay, Dad.
Only from Kohler.
You may not see them, but your itchy eyes know they're out there. Thousands of allergens in each cubic yard of air. No wonder you rub your eyes hundreds of times a day. But now, relief is just one drop away. Introducing Pataday. Full prescription strength Pataday works right in your eyes, right on the cells that make them itch. Fast. Just one drop once a day means relief that lasts all day. So turn your day into a Pataday. Now get Pataday without a prescription. Everywhere.
I always thought it was me, that I was the reason all these diets never worked.
This is genuinely not a temporary fix. There's some serious psychology behind it.
It's funny how much smarter I feel like Noom has made me. It's the simple things.
Once I understood why I was making those choices, it was easy for me to change those habits, and weight loss came naturally after that.
I've been on Noom for 4 months now. I've lost 27 pounds, and I feel like I got my life back.
Visit Noom.com and lose the weight for good.
No, this ain't no sandwich. Because on a sandwich, they ask you if you want cheese. But on a papadilla, cheese is what's holding the whole operation together. Get one now for just $6. Better ingredients, better pizza, better than a sandwich. Papa John's.
Hey, Boston. Hey, Atlanta. Hola, Miami. Hi, New York. Hey, LA. Chicago. Hey, America.
Trust me, you're going to love this. Come on.
2 tablespoons of sugar.
But kind of your average
This is the place to be.
Something for everyone. Local now. Download.
Fruit Loops, a delicious part of this complete breakfast.
With Armor All, a little bit of this protects you from a lot of that. Armor All, minimum effort, maximum protection.
As chairman of our family-owned Cambridge Paving Stones, I welcome you all to the annual board meeting.
Really? Grandpa. Board meeting!
Wait till they learn it's not all fun and games, because we make Cambridge Paving Stones the hard way with ArmorTech, our unique process that produces a rich color that looks beautiful for years to come.
I'm the chairman of the board!
Paving Stones with ArmorTech, they'll always look like new.
Skipper.com.
Wreck your Monday night.
boy.
With all new episodes of Highway Through Hell at 8 and Heavy Rescue at 9. Monday night on the Weather Channel.
A high wind warning is in effect. Currently in our area, 57 degrees under cloudy skies. Tonight, windy with rain late, low 55, rainfall near a ½ inch. Monday, cloudy and windy with periods of rain, high 66. Rainfall may reach 1 inch. Monday night, clear, low 45. Winds could occasionally gust over 40 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Welcome back to our continuing coverage here at the Weather Channel, and we are continuing to look live into Laurel, Mississippi. Our storm tracker, John Humphreys, as well as our storm tracker, Charles Peak, both in the area, seeing what's left in the wake of these storms, which so far has been a lot of tree damage, tree debris across the roads. Crews have been out in full force clearing out those roads so that any search and rescue that's needed, or just if there's any other, need for the roads, other emergencies that happen overnight, that there's a way to get through. That is the first step in cleaning up after a storm comes through, is to reopen the roads.
Oh,
and
wow.
Liana, here's another view, and the crews are out in full force, as I mentioned.
Yeah, power's out. So many power outages across the area thanks to the severe storms that worked their way through just a few hours ago. Now look at this. Fire rescue crews are out working to clear the roads as well. Large trees, we've already seen crews, Mark, that have been popping up and clearing out the roads as we get through the rest of the evening. But again, it's going to be a long night of cleanup. But we even still have more severe storms that are popping up even east of here.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, just north of Birmingham, we have a new tornado warning that looks fairly potent at this point, Carl. It looks like that rotation is kicking up just a little bit.
Yeah, very tight little rotation showing up right now, and we are seeing some debris as well. So a likely tornado. This is northwest of Birmingham. Let's take a look at where it is right now, and moving off to the northeast at about 40 miles per hour. There you see it's pretty far to the northwest of Birmingham, and we'll zoom down and get a better look at this. That is a tornado warning for Walker and Winston counties going until 9 p.m. And looking at the velocity data, not quite as profound as it was just moments ago. I'm going to go back just one frame there, and you can see just a little bit more spin showing up in this area relative to the most recent frame, but still a very dangerous storm. Let's track that forward. It's going to come right across Route 5 as it moves to the northeast, moving into the Prospect area right now. So you want to get to your safe place right now, then coming up into Falls City beyond that, and into Arley beyond that. Now, another thing we can do is we can see if there is any evidence of debris at this time. We are still seeing just a little pinpoint there. You see that little pixel, and that's been showing up actually for a couple of frames. So right in there, right before it got to Interstate 22, and then now kind of moving off a little bit more to the east there. So it may be actually sort of expanding outward as the tornado is weakening. But at least for a time, we had a tornado here. Whether or not there is an ongoing tornado, more difficult question. It looks like perhaps we have seen already that start to begin to wane a little bit. Let's hope so. But again, that's coming up towards the I-5, or rather the Route 5 corridor, and across the I-22 corridor. Now, to the west of that, also looking at a severe thunderstorm warning. I'm going to zoom back down into this area. Severe thunderstorm warning now west of Birmingham, and Fayette and Walker counties under warning until 9:15. Let's take a look at the particulars here. This is moving east at 65 miles per hour. So that's pretty typical when you've got a really active day to see very fast storm motions. So let's time that out and see where that's going to be headed in the next few minutes. Coming into Jasper, into Parrish, into Cordova, as well as Empire, and also into Robbins Crossroads as well. Then as we go farther south, we see there are no warnings in this area, but interesting looking storm here near Tuscaloosa. Big wind producer. Look at that. You can see that we've got some winds showing up right in there. So would not be at all surprised to see a warning coming out in that area pretty quickly. Then to the northeast, we've got more storms up into northwest Georgia. Let's zoom up and into the area near Rome. This storm has actually had some rotation on it. So Chattooga under warning right now, and also warning for Dalton, Georgia, across Interstate 75, Murray, Walker, and Whitfield counties. Still seeing some sort of broad rotation right in there. So that is definitely a rotating storm. Whether or not that rises to the level of a tornado warning remains to be seen. But just be aware of the fact that you've got a storm that is bringing a damaging wind threat and may also produce a tornado as it continues to move to the northeast. We'll have more on that coming up in a moment. Let's get a look at the forecast going into the overnight, and here's Mark with that.
Yeah, and Carl, I want to start off with exactly where you were in the Birmingham area, because that really sets up where we go for the rest of the overnight hours. We're seeing repeated storms over many of the same communities again and again and again. You notice that's the huge amount of lightning, that lightning jump over Tuscaloosa, indicative of that strong wind push and a huge updraft to separate out those charges. We have the tornado warned storm that Carl was telling us about. But notice, if you just draw a straight line up towards Birmingham, how these storms are going on the train track, right? These are repeated storms on the same path. And until we really clear out that upper level feature that's back towards Little Rock, we're not done with that nighttime threat. So as we roll this forward, the model doing a decent job at showing us the coverage for where we're at now. Several more hours of really heavy rain. This goes through 10 o'clock local time, so we're not there yet. We've got several more hours of that heavy rain to go, and then occasional showers, which will be kind of the insult on top of injury rains as we go through the overnight, potentially with another surge late in the nighttime hours. The Atlanta metro area, even though we've been talking about North Georgia just about all evening and now the beginning of the night with the repeated thunderstorm action there, we really haven't seen much in Atlanta. A report of a thunder, we're probably hearing that from a good distance away, because there's no active weather anywhere nearby the Atlanta metro area. But if you look ahead as to where we're going from here, it's going to take a bit for that line of storms to crash into Atlanta. It might be 1, even 2 or 3 o'clock before we see that real surge come through. There's going to be very strong straight line winds with these, potentially embedded rotation within there. So have a way to get those warnings overnight. The threat not really done for the Atlanta metro area until after 3, maybe 4 o'clock in the morning. Then you get a break. Stay with us. We'll show you where the active storms are.
Goodbye, Fred.
Goodbye, Fred.
What if she gets hungry?
Kohler Revolution 360 with continuous clean. Stays clean 5 times longer.
It's okay, Dad.
Only from Kohler.
I don't add up the years, and I don't count the wrinkles. But what I do count on is Boost High Protein.
And now introducing new Boost Women with key nutrients to help support thyroid, bone, hair, and skin health, all with great taste. New Boost Women, designed just for you.
It's a challenging market. Edward Jones is well aware of that, which is why we're ready to listen and ready to help you find opportunity.
So, let's talk.
Edward Jones, it's time for investing to feel individual.
Who has time for wrinkles? Neutrogena Rapid Wrinkle Repair. We've got the retinol that gives you results in 1 week. Not just any retinol, accelerated retinol SA for not only smoother skin in 1 day, but younger looking skin in just 1 week. And that's clinically proven. Results that fast, or your money back. Unless you're attached to your wrinkles. 1 week, it's all it takes. Neutrogena.
If you have moderate to severe psoriasis, little things can become your big moment. That's why there's Otezla. Otezla is not a cream. It's a pill that treats plaque psoriasis differently. With Otezla, 75% clearer skin is achievable. Don't use if you're allergic to Otezla. It may cause severe diarrhea, nausea, or vomiting. Otezla is associated with an increased risk of depression. Tell your doctor if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts, or if these feelings develop. Some people taking Otezla reported weight loss. Your doctor should monitor your weight and may stop treatment. Upper respiratory tract infection and headache may occur. Tell your doctor about your medicines and if you're pregnant or planning to be. Otezla, show more of you.
While most of the world is being asked to stay inside, there are people out there giving it their all. So, to everyone who is helping keep us safe against COVID-19 day in and day out, all of us at Amgen say, thank you.
Mornings were made for better things than rheumatoid arthritis or psoriatic arthritis. When considering another treatment, ask about Xeljanz XR, a once-daily pill for adults with moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis or active psoriatic arthritis for whom methotrexate did not work well enough. It can reduce pain, swelling, and significantly improve physical function. Xeljanz can lower your ability to fight infections like TB. Don't start Xeljanz if you have an infection. Taking a higher than recommended dose of Xeljanz for RA can increase risk of death. Serious, sometimes fatal infections, cancers, including lymphoma, and blood clots have happened, as have tears in the stomach or intestines, serious allergic reactions, and changes in lab results. Tell your doctor if you've been somewhere fungal infections are common, or if you've had TB, hepatitis B or C, or are prone to infections. Don't let another morning go by without asking your doctor about Xeljanz XR.
Welcome to the next chapter in Bachelor history.
Let the journey begin.
Listen to you.
It's love.
I'm so happy.
With strings attached.
It's no fun singing a love song when you're not in love.
The Bachelor presents Listen to Your Heart. Monday, 8/7 Central on ABC.
At Papa John's, we want you to know that from our 450-degree oven to box to you, it's our policy that your pizza is never touched once it comes out of the oven. And we're taking extra steps like no contact delivery to ensure it.
Welcome back, as we're trying to stay ahead of the storms tonight, but also show you what already occurred to give you a scope of what could still happen in your community after dark tonight. This is a live view in Laurel, Mississippi, and on the right side of your screen, that is a huge tree root ball. Huge tree came down across the road. It has since been mostly cleared away. There's some of the branches that you're seeing on the top right side of your screen. But look at this. It's just tree after tree, piece of, tree debris after piece, which is making it that much harder to continue to drive down the road. The fire and rescue crews are out in full force in Laurel, Mississippi. The power crews are out because we've seen lots of power lines down. And just about everybody that's out there at this point is out there with a crew of people and chainsaws, because it's the only way through the roadway at this point.
Really impressive, Mark, how fast and quick that they've been able to clear these roads. I mean, you can see all the debris on the right-hand side using those chainsaws to clear out those larger tree limbs. And now the roads are pretty passable, at least in this section of the city. Now, I mean, as we get through and we're looking at more and more debris, you can see how large these tree limbs have been. And also, look how dark it is. I mean, power is out. We're looking at power outages galore across the region. It looks like we're kind of zooming in so-so. Corporate limit looks like that's where we're looking at that sign, but look at all the debris that's working its way around that sign there.
And just moments ago, this was the view from this same area. So that roof completely lifted off.
Oh my goodness.
You've got just pieces of the 2x4s and the framing of the roof that's left remaining. You can see some insulation. The good news with that, the walls stayed up, at least from this vantage point. People are out of the home on the front step, kind of surveying what happened, as opposed to needing rescue. So there is, the glimmer of good news there. No telling which type of weather brought this through, whether it was the straight line winds, whether it was the rotating wind of a tornado. I'm sure there will be storm surveys going on. But, this is also happening in the background of the social distancing, which makes it that much harder for crews to come through, and just one more layer that we're trying to keep everybody safe with tonight, Liana.
And something else that I just noticed, I mean, it's still raining right now too. So not only do you not have power, I mean, thank goodness the temperatures aren't that crazy cold behind this, but we do have still wet conditions to be dealing with, as well as the chances for more severe storms, even to the east of us.
Absolutely. And, the Birmingham area, whether it's flash flooding or severe thunderstorm warnings, getting hit quite hard right now. I want to go back into the lab where storm specialist Carl Parker is standing by. And Carl, these storms have such high rainfall rates. Even if they continue for an hour, we're going to have some intense flooding. Yeah, that's another big part of what's going on tonight. The flash flood threat is going to be huge right through the night. In addition to that threat for tornadoes and damaging wind. And we've got a bunch of warnings to tell you about right now. No tornado warnings for the time being, but we expect that the tornado threat is going to continue deep into the evening, right into tomorrow morning, as a matter of fact. So let's go through some of these warnings here. We'll take you first of all into Alabama, and
and there is a severe thunderstorm warning to the northwest of Birmingham. Looks like we've got a brand new tornado warning. I'm going to jump down to that. Let's take a look at what's going on with that. Tornado warning now, and that is in the Tuscaloosa area. That is Jefferson and Tuscaloosa counties under warning until 9:15. Let's take a look at the velocity data. And so what we've got here is an area of surging wind right in there, very strong surge of wind right in there, and then right along that interface, right in there, just a little bit more rotation, and that is now just northeast of Tuscaloosa. So let's track that forward and see where that's going to be headed. That'll be coming up towards Birchfield at about 8:47, moving into Bull City at 8:52, and moving into Johns at about 9 p.m. Again, a possible tornado moving east 50 miles per hour along the leading edge of this surge of very strong wind. In fact, I'm going to take a look at some of these velocities there. There you go. That's an inbound velocity of 75 miles per hour. So, you know, in addition to a possible tornado, you've got just this surge of really strong wind now coming through Tuscaloosa. And so let's time that whole area out to see where that's going to be headed in the next few minutes. Coming into Holt more immediately, you're going to get the brunt of that strong wind in Holt, also into Brookwood and into Birchfield, so the same areas that we talked about for the potential tornado as well. Now going a little farther to the south, got some severe thunderstorm warnings here. One of those northeast of Hattiesburg near Waynesboro, Wayne County under warning, and then another one into the area near Hattiesburg, just south and east of Hattiesburg, Forest County under warning. In the Atlanta metro, fairly quiet right now, but you notice here that a lot of the rain is staying to the north, and that's an important point because when you get a whole lot of rain, that tends to cool off the atmosphere, makes it a little bit more stable. We're not seeing that across a lot of the Atlanta metro, which means we might see more of a chance for tornadoes late tonight. We're going to talk about the timing coming up in just a moment.
Not even our competitor's best battery can match the power of Energizer, because Energizer Ultimate Lithium is the longest-lasting AA battery in the world. Energizer, backed by science, matched by no one.
To present the flavor we've all been waiting for, the hazelnut spread M&M Spokes Candy. Oh my! What did you do?
We ate him.
I don't add up the years, and I don't count the wrinkles. But what I do count on is Boost High Protein.
And now introducing new Boost Women with key nutrients to help support thyroid, bone, hair, and skin health, all with great taste. New Boost Women, designed just for you.
I'm gonna turn pop, techno, funk, and country into rock zombies.
Rock and roll! Happy birthday!
If we don't stop her, who will?
We need to go undercover.
Hey, only rock trolls are allowed here. Barracuda! Cool.
Trolls World Tour. Rated PG.
Who wants to party? Without smiling.
The world premiere is now in your home.
I know people love the dish remote. It's great. So why build in the Google Assistant? I mean, who really needs a TV remote that can turn the thermostat up,
change temperature to 72,
the lights down,
dim the lights,
and still access their DVR?
play Rio?
Actually, some people could absolutely use a remote like that. The new Dish Voice Remote. Dish, tuned in to you.
Hey Boston. Hey Atlanta. Hola Miami. Hi New York. Hey LA. Chicago. Hey America.
Trust me, you're gonna love this. Come on.
2 tablespoons of sugar.
But kind of near average all
This is the place to be.
Something for everyone. Local now. Download for free in your favorite app store.
Domino's has contactless delivery, so you can safely get pizza even while you stay indoors.
Just take those old records off the shelf. I sit and listen to them by myself. Today's music ain't got the same soul.
Next time you get 2 or more medium 2-topping pizzas for $5.99 each, choose contactless delivery from Domino's.
And welcome back. Severe weather sweeping across the south, severely damaging a mobile home in southeastern Mississippi this afternoon. It's been a very scary afternoon. And look at that, a live look in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. We've got very strong wind coming through. There is a tornado warning off to the northeast right now. And so this is no longer going to be a tornado threat for Tuscaloosa proper. It is a damaging wind threat that's going to go on for a while in Tuscaloosa, but there is a serious tornado threat just off to the northeast of Tuscaloosa. Well, let's take a look at where that is, and that is generally coming towards Birmingham right now. So heads up in Birmingham. You've got a rotating storm off to your southwest. Let's take a look at this warning right now. This is Jefferson and Tuscaloosa counties on a warning until 9:15, and here you see the rotation. We're actually getting some sort of bad data there. But basically, you've got a pretty strong circulation along the leading edge of that bow, and that is now coming towards Abernant and areas north of that. I'm going to time this out. This is moving northeast at 50 miles per hour, and so that's going to be coming into Birchfield here in the next few minutes. That's the area we're watching right there. Moving towards Bull City, perhaps, and eventually towards Johns as well. But Birchfield more immediately at 8:48 or so. So you've got, just about 10 minutes before this thing comes into Birchfield. At a minimum, we're going to be talking about some very strong straight line wind, but possibly a tornado as well. There's a brand new scan, and I'll tell you, this thing is looking more and more tight with each new scan there. Let's look and see if there's some debris showing up, and there is debris indeed. Wow. So we've got a very serious storm ongoing right now, folks. Looks like it's in a relatively rural area. I'm not seeing any towns right around here. So let's give you the lay of the land. This is now moving away from Tuscaloosa, but that right there, that circle right there, that is where the radar is detecting debris that's being lofted into the air. When that is co-located with a very strong circulation, we know we've got a tornado. So we do now have an ongoing tornado now east of 69. So, I would guess a relatively wooded area. It's probably largely tree debris that we're seeing right now. And there's a brand new scan. It's continuing and moving off to the northeast. So let's get a sense of the vector here. That is basically just about due northeast. And so, tracking that out one more time, going forward there, that's going to be coming towards Little Shoal at 8:56. So, folks, if you're in Little Shoal, there is a tornado on the ground. It is to your southwest. It's now about 15 minutes away, and this thing means business. This is a very, very serious storm. Please get to your safe place right now, lowest, most interior room, as there's an ongoing tornado in this area. Let's back out a little bit, get a better look at this one more time. So again, the vector for now appears to be a little bit more northeast. You can see where it's been moving here in the last few minutes. So, it appears we've got more of a northeast rather than a east-northeast motion. And so that would take it up in this area. And again, that's going to come towards Little Shoal, also towards Bull City, perhaps about 8:52 or so. If you're in these areas, you've got to get to your safe place right now. We've got a tornado on the ground right now that is producing damage, most likely just tree damage for the most part right now. It's in a very rural area right now, but it's not going to remain that way. And eventually, this is going to get up into the west side of the Birmingham metro area as that continues off to the northeast. Very, very dangerous storm here, folks. Please take this seriously and get to your safe place right now. All right, let's take a look at some other areas where there are some ongoing storms. Also to the south now into areas of southern Mississippi. We've got some severe warnings here. Nothing that appears to be terribly strong at this time. Also looking into the Atlanta metro. We've got some storms well off to the north, but you'll notice that there's not much going on in the Atlanta metro right now. Now, that's important because that means that without there being a whole lot of heavy rain coming down, the atmosphere is going to be a little bit more conducive to very strong storms later tonight. And I want to show you the model forecast And what I've got superimposed on this model forecast is the strong low-level wind, because that's a really critical part of what helps to develop the low-level rotation in these storms. There are a lot of other parts that have to come together, but once you get that low-level mesocyclone, as we call it, the rotating storm, that's one of the first parts of this whole process that leads to tornadoes. So we've certainly got exceptionally strong low-level winds coming up and into this area. That is 11 o'clock Central Time and midnight Eastern. And so all in this area, you notice the lack of rain there with very strong southerly winds, and that is going to mean that the atmosphere is going to be warm and humid, and it will be supportive of supercell storms, Mark, coming into the Atlanta metro around 1 to 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning, and it could be a very rough night tonight. Back to you.
Yeah, all Atlanta has to do is look at what's happening around Birmingham right now. I want to update everyone on the tornado warning that is approaching Birmingham from the Tuscaloosa area. This is a very dangerous storm indeed. Here's a look at the tornado warning, a new update on that warning to really fine-tune it, narrow down where the worst of the risk is. There is one on the north side of town as well along I-65. We'll get to that in just a second. But in Jefferson and Tuscaloosa, very strong signature here, almost this kind of curl where this tornado is moving in. Very strong rotation. So this is not only showing strong signs of rotation, but also a fairly clear signature of debris as well. Look at that dropout. That is debris being lofted into the air and tumbling around. It's right near the campgrounds there, Deer Lick campgrounds. If you're familiar with that area, this is moving right through that zone. So extraordinarily dangerous for the campgrounds right now. And if we time this out, it will be approaching places like Bull City, crossing over Watermelon Road, then getting over towards Johns and Bessemer by about the top of the hour. Now, you notice Birmingham's not that far away. If this holds together, and so many of the storms have done that very thing today, is stay on the ground for a long time and really hold their own for a long time. It'll be near Birmingham by about 9:30. Quickly, just north of town, also a strong rotation signature on this part of the storm headed towards Coleman.
At Papa John's, we want you to know that from our 450-degree oven to box to you, it's our policy that your pizza is never touched once it comes out of the oven. And we're taking extra steps like no contact delivery to ensure it.
Boss, whoa, back check.
Get the flavors they want and the goodness you'll love. Together with Sunmaid.
Go, you're gonna be late.
Mom, bag check.
Sunmaid, raisins, yogurt covered, and sour fruit snacks made delicious with whole fruit.
It's a small finger, a worm.
Like a dagger?
Tiny sword.
Breadstick.
Matchstick.
A lamppost.
Coin slot. No.
10 seconds. A stick, a walking stick. A foundry, a Kilimanjaro, big sauce.
Sorry. It's a tandem bicycle.
What?
As long as sloths are slow, you can count on Geico saving folks money. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Hold my pouch. Trust us. Us kids are ready to take things into our own hands. Don't think so? Hold my pouch.
If you have moderate to severe psoriasis, little things can become your big moment. That's why there's Otezla. Otezla is not a cream. It's a pill that treats plaque psoriasis differently. With Otezla, 75% clearer skin is achievable. Don't use if you're allergic to Otezla. It may cause severe diarrhea, nausea, or vomiting. Otezla is associated with an increased risk of depression. Tell your doctor if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts, or if these feelings develop. Some people taking Otezla reported weight loss. Your doctor should monitor your weight and may stop treatment. Upper respiratory tract infection and headache may occur. Tell your doctor about your medicines and if you're pregnant or planning to be. Otezla.
My whole life, people have said like mean and horrible things about me. Up July 27th, 1996.
Get down!
I acted.
Eric Rudolph, he's a serial bomber.
We lost him.
Eric Rudolph needs our help.
As long as we're fighting each other, we're not stopping him, and that blood will be on us.
This is what our communities are made of. The local businesses that keep them thriving, and the people who support their success. We stand by you. Spectrum Reach and Waymark have partnered to help by offering free videos for small businesses. Go to spectrumreach.com/rebound to get started today. Tell your customers how they can support your business during this challenging time. On behalf of Spectrum Reach and Waymark, thank you. Together, we will rebound.
For the toughest jobs on planet Earth.
To get the most out of your mornings, you need to know what weather is heading your way. Wake up watching AMHQ. Weekday mornings on the Weather Channel.
A high wind warning is in effect. Currently in our area, 57 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Tonight, windy with rain late, low 55, rainfall near a ½ inch. Monday, cloudy and windy with periods of rain, high 66. Rainfall may reach 1 inch. Monday night, clear, low 45. Winds could occasionally gust over 40 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Welcome back. We are following a very dangerous storm now southwest of Birmingham, a likely tornado now with debris showing up on the radar. Let's take a look. This is Jefferson and Tuscaloosa counties under warning until 9:15 at Central Time. So that warning does extend into the Birmingham metro area. The motion, as has been the case with all of these storms, is very rapid off to the northeast, about 50 miles per hour. Most recent scan here, we're actually not seeing as much evidence of a very tight rotation. So there does appear to be some weakening. What we are seeing is a very strong area of winds, a surge of winds right there that's going to be coming up into the southwest side of the Birmingham metro. But take a look at the velocity data and you can see the pinpoint that was going on right in this area. A couple of frames ahead of that and a couple of frames behind that. We did have debris at that time, and I'll bet you anything we're not seeing quite as much of a debris signature right now because you can see how that is sort of washed out in the most recent frame. Let's just be on the safe side, though. Let's track it out anyway. The vector here is more off to the northeast, and that's coming up towards Little Shoal. So at a minimum, in Little Shoal, you're going to be looking at some very strong wind coming through, but it does appear, at least for the time being, at least for now, that we've got a little bit less of a tornado threat. But, you know, again, as I mentioned, great big mini bow here, and that is going to be coming up and towards Birmingham. So let's track that out as well. Brand new severe thunderstorm warning, and that'll be coming right up into the southwest side of the Birmingham metro. So into Johns near the top of the hour, Chin as well, Bessemer about 9:07, and Fairfield at about 9:10. Damaging wind threat is headed your way. Now looking at and sure enough, this is what we were talking about moments ago. We were looking at debris showing up with this storm. Very well developed debris signature right in there in, you know, what appears to be a largely rural area. But when you see that really concentrated area, those are irregular shapes that the radar is picking up. When you see that really concentrated area that is co-located with a very strong rotation, then you know you've got a tornado on the ground. So we certainly did have that. It was probably largely tree debris. Another scan there, still very strong. And right at the time when we're starting to see the velocity signature weaken some, we see also that this debris field is now beginning to expand out. So that's, you know, precisely what you've seen in many videos. In tornado videos, you've got a real strong tornado, then it begins to weaken, and that debris field begins to spread out. That's exactly what's going on right now. So again, we've got less of a tornado threat right now, but certainly there is a very serious damaging wind threat. You see that big bow. I mean, that is a mean signature right there, right through there. And there's a brand new severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued for the Birmingham metro area. Let's take a look at the particulars there. Warning 60-mile-per-hour wind right now. We'll need to keep a good eye on that. That's, one of the threats that you have when you've got very strong winds in the atmosphere in general is that you can see a really strong straight-line thunderstorm wind. And so certainly a heads up, Birmingham, you've got a very significant storm coming your way. Now to the north of that, Cullman, Morgan counties under warning until 9:15 Central Time. Let's take a look at the velocity here. I've got a little bit of a dog leg here right in there. That little dog leg is sometimes where a tornado can develop. It's not the most profound signature that I've ever seen, but nonetheless, there is some threat for a tornado. That'll be coming up towards Cullman about 9:09 or so, Simcoe at 9:18, Holly Pond at about 9:22 or so. And then up into the Atlanta area, got a couple of ongoing warnings here. There are, flash flood warnings all over the place. That's going to be a big part of what happens tonight. Closer look there, and you can see we've got a severe thunderstorm warning now just east of Dalton. But, a big part of what is driving this tornado threat, along with the straight line wind threat, is a very strong low-level jet, as we call it. These winds coming out of the southwest, south-southwest, about 5,000 feet up. That helps to create the low-level shear, and that's the beginning of the process that leads to eventually several other things that can lead to tornado development. So, following that low-level jet, where we see that continuing to be in place along with the strong storms, that's where we've got the concern for tornadoes. So you see these discrete cells here, these individual cells showing up in southern and central parts of Alabama, Birmingham, down to Mobile through late tonight. So, southern Alabama, southeastern Alabama, it's going to continue to be a very, very active night tonight. Most likely, we'll probably see many warnings deep into the night. Then we get into 1 o'clock in the morning Central and 2 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. So this line is coming through Atlanta at the time, and it's going to be a mix of things. It's going to be a damaging wind threat, but there are going to be some embedded supercells within that line, again fueled by this very strong wind in the atmosphere, the shear in the atmosphere. And so as all of that comes into the Atlanta metro, there will be a threat for tornadoes deep into the overnight hours. And so, Liana, we want folks to have some way to be notified, because this could be a really serious night tonight in the Atlanta metro, one of the most serious we've seen in a long time.
Yeah, absolutely, Carl. So let's go ahead and show you what we've been seeing on the ground. This is from our storm trackers in the area. This is in Mississippi, Laurel, Mississippi, from our storm tracker, John Humphreys. And what we're looking at in the distance is some of the damage. I mean, we've been seeing them driving through. You can see some of the debris, but you can't even make out what this is. It looks like it might be metal of some sort, but look how large it is. It looks like maybe there's some power lines, possibly. You can kind of see wires right there. Unfortunately, so much damage that we've been seeing and coming across. Roads have been closed. Power is out across the area. We're going to continue tracking this severe threat as we get through the rest of the evening next.
You wouldn't accept an incomplete job from anyone else, so why accept it from your allergy pills? Flonase relieves your worst symptoms, which most pills don't. Get all-in-one allergy relief for 24 hours with Flonase.
The ups and downs of frequent mood swings can plunge you into deep depressive lows, or give you unusually high energy, even when depressed. Overwhelmed by bipolar depression? Ask about Vraylar. Some medications only treat the lows or the highs. Vraylar effectively treats depressive, acute manic, and mixed episodes of bipolar 1. Full spectrum relief of all symptoms, with just one pill once a day. Elderly patients with dementia-related psychosis have an increased risk of death or stroke. Call your doctor about unusual changes in behavior or suicidal thoughts. Antidepressants can increase these in children and young adults. Report fever, stiff muscles, or confusion, which may mean a life-threatening reaction, or uncontrollable muscle movements, which may be permanent. Side effects may not appear for several weeks. Metabolic changes may occur. Movement dysfunction, restlessness, sleepiness, stomach issues are common side effects. When bipolar depression overwhelms, ask how Vraylar can help.
Am I too old to start skateboarding?
Something on your mind? Chew on it. Twizzlers.
It's a challenging market. Edward Jones is well aware of that, which is why we're ready to listen and ready to help you find opportunity.
So, let's talk.
Edward Jones, it's time for investing to feel individual.
Most jeans are made for average bodies, but there's no such thing as an average person. M. Taylor takes 7 measurements right on your phone for perfectly fitted custom jeans, and getting measured only takes 15 seconds. M. Taylor's machine learning technology guarantees a fit 20% better than a tailor, all without leaving your home. With the M. Taylor app, you'll never need to go to a store or find parking at a mall. And if you don't like your jeans for any reason, shipping and returns are always free. Download M. Taylor for iOS or Android.
Goodbye, Fred.
Goodbye, Fred.
What if he gets lonely? What if he gets bored?
Oh, hey.
Just in case he gets hungry. What if he gets sad? What if he gets...
Hey. I think it's time we say goodbye.
Okay.
Kohler Revolution 360 with continuous clean. Stays clean 5 times longer.
It's okay, Dad.
Only from Kohler.
At Papa John's, we want you to know that from our 450-degree oven to box to you, it's our policy that your pizza is never touched once it comes out of the oven. And we're taking extra steps like no contact delivery to ensure it.
Unfortunately, already a deadly and destructive Easter Sunday across parts of the South. Tornadoes across several states, including this one that ripped through parts of Alabama. The storm motion today, Liana, a very important part of the story. They're moving 50 to 60 miles per hour. So if you're not seeing this race left or right on your screen, that means it's either moving directly towards the camera or directly away. And they're moving fast. Now that it's night, oof, you got to trust those warnings and even sleep in the safe spot of your home tonight.
Exactly. Make sure your phone is charged and take it off of vibrate or silent because you need to get these alerts. Take a look at some of the damage that was left behind. We have video from Laurel, Mississippi. This right here is showing you what we saw earlier in the day. The National Weather Service already saying this was likely an EF4 or EF5 that did this, and unfortunately 7 people have been confirmed to be killed by this storm area. Now the Mississippi Emergency Management Agency did confirm that 7 people were killed across the state today.
A tragic Easter Sunday already, and we now are going into the overnight hours where we know there is that much more risk. Tornadoes also left major destruction in Louisiana. We have some video from Monroe. A tornado damaged several businesses, including a trucking company there. Big rigs flipped, the garage doors just demolished, ripped right through. Power out to thousands tonight, and we are not done. The atmosphere is still ready to go, even though we are in the nighttime hours, and we actually have some new warnings popping up all the way into southern portions of Alabama. So we are live tonight tracking the severe weather threat across the South. Tornado warnings ongoing, as I mentioned, so let's get right into the lab. Also joined tonight with storm specialist Carl Parker. Carl.
Yeah, really important point, Mark. A lot of cases we see things begin to settle down as we get deeper into the evening and the overnight hours. That is not necessarily going to be the case in this case. You've got such a strong parent storm, a very energetic atmosphere. It could be a really long night in Georgia and even into the Carolinas early tomorrow morning. Let's take a look at some of the warnings right now. We've got several of them to point out. Tornado warning ongoing here north of Birmingham. That in effect for Coleman and Morgan counties until 9:15. So we're seeing a little bit of rotation showing up here now just southwest of Coleman. It's not the most profound rotation I've ever seen, but certainly there is some threat for a tornado there. That coming up towards Coleman at about 9:10 or so, and then Simcoe at about 9:18 as that moves off to the northeast. South of that, there was a tornado warning here. Now just a severe thunderstorm warning for Jefferson County. That does include the Birmingham area. A very strong straight line wind threat. You see the big bow, big backward C shape. That'll be coming into Birmingham at 9:19. So heads up for some strong wind headed your way. We did, by the way, see a tornado right in here, and that washed out. You can see the debris sort of stretching out there, spacing out as the tornado weakened. Also a tornado warning now into southwestern parts of Alabama. Choctaw, Clark, and Washington counties under warning until 9:45. So this is now near Milry and moving off to the east very quickly. All these storms moving rapidly. That's going to be one of the hallmarks of these storms. When you got a really energetic parent storm, strong wind fields, it drives the storms along quickly. In this case, moving now to the east, I think a good 50 miles per hour. Let's take a look here. There you go, 55 miles per hour, the latest motion on that. So possible tornado coming towards right now, coming into Milry, Frankville, and Coffeyville. Beyond that, you could be looking at tornado headed your way. Now we go up into North Georgia, and we're looking at another warning here. Warning now for Georgia and also for Tennessee. So that is Murray County in Georgia. We've got an observed tag there, and then Polk County into southern Tennessee. And let's take a look at the velocity data here. And we were looking at a pretty tight little rotation just moments ago. Right in there, you can see that tight little area of blue and orange. So there could very well have been a tornado there. Successive scans here. It's not as well defined. You can see this is what is left of it. There is still something there, but doesn't look as tight as it was. Nonetheless, let's just track that out. That'll be coming up towards Parksville into ball play here in the next few minutes. Parksville beyond that, and then Archville going into about 10:16 or so. So tornado watch there in the parts of northeast Tennessee as well as western North Carolina. That's going to be going for some time. Let's move that just a little farther east and get a look at the watch there. That extending into areas just outside of Asheville. Expect that we will see tornado watches all across the western Carolinas into early tomorrow morning. Tornado watch until 11 p.m. for North Georgia, but a really critical distinction here. That's for North Georgia. We expect that a lot of the rest of Georgia is going to get in on this weather, but it's going to be later at night, more towards 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning in the Atlanta metro and even later in central parts of Georgia. Also, tornado watch across much of Alabama going until midnight Central Time, and then another one in southern Mississippi as well as into southern parts of Louisiana. We have not seen very many warnings in Louisiana over the last hour here. So let's take a look at the forecast going forward. This is a high-resolution model forecast showing you those really strong low-level winds, and that's a key ingredient when you talk about a tornado threat and also a serious damaging wind threat. We've got these very strong winds coming along with the line as it moves eastward, and so taking this forward, we'll go into 11 o'clock Central, midnight Eastern. Notice that you've got a line of storms here, but discrete cells within that line. So we expect that there are going to be supercell storms all up and down that line from central Alabama back down into the southwest part of the state, and that's going to continue for quite some time. We'll go into, say, 1 o'clock in the morning Central. Very strong storms rolling through Montgomery, Alabama, coming towards Columbus, Georgia, getting towards Macon, coming through the Atlanta metro. And again, same story here. Very strong low-level winds. We've got an environment that is going to be favorable for tornadoes. So we certainly could be talking about supercell storms producing tornadoes, tornado warnings, in addition to a damaging wind threat. It is really, really important that you've got a way to be notified tonight. If you've got to go to bed, then just make sure you've got your phone on. Make sure that the alert mode is on and have it nearby so you can be notified of warnings, because this is going to be one of those nights when we probably see a lot of not just severe thunderstorm warnings, but tornado warnings as well. And then beyond that, we take it into the early morning hours, 4 o'clock in the morning, starting to move away from Atlanta, coming into central Georgia. And this is what I mean. Even though we don't have the watches up right yet, there could very well be tornado watches in these areas going into the early morning hours. And then this is starting to approach Charlotte and then coming over into the western part of the Carolinas. You notice it's a large area of heavy rain here. We're not seeing as much of that supercell structure farther to the north. But still, because you've got a really energetic atmosphere, we could still be looking at the potential for some supercell storms embedded within that area. And I think an even better chance as you get farther south, more towards southeast Georgia and into southern parts of South Carolina. So that is 6 o'clock in the morning. Again, it's going to be one of those nights where storms are going all night long and they don't necessarily calm down just because you're into the overnight hours. We could be talking about warnings going all night long here, and then even into early tomorrow morning as well. In fact, through the morning tomorrow, an ongoing threat in the Carolinas and down into South Georgia and in northern Florida. So a lot to be watching here over the next, say, 12 to 18 hours. And let's get a little more now from Mark.
And Carl, you mentioned that strong rotation that was in North Georgia. I want to go into detail on that storm just for a second, because as it came through the forest, it must have hit some trees there. There's a bit of a valley. There's some trees. Look at this. You watch this storm come through now into the Tennessee side. So the Murray County tornado warning confirmed because of the debris seen on radar, and then that same storm continued into portions of Tennessee. There's not that much clear rotation here. it might be underneath that range folding. But if you go back where Carl was talking about following this rotation right on through, it was still a strong rotation, seemed to broaden out. But I want to show you what's known as the correlation coefficient. When the radar is watching for symmetrical objects versus tumbling objects. And as this storm approached, look at this, we start seeing some color showing up here. That is some debris that is then intensifying, a clear debris signature there that got more intense north of Crandall approaching Cisco, and then all of that is now falling out across portions of Tennessee. There is still debris in the air as of the most recent scans there. So a very strong but brief rotation was more than enough to whatever was there got kicked up into the sky. And so this is, indicating what normally would be steady rain, but there's actually some debris that the radar beam is hitting. And so we know that by looking at that other mode of the radar. So that's the Tennessee side. Polk County still with that tornado warning as we follow that storm. It's exiting Georgia, no longer under a warning there, but still under that warning on the Tennessee side. Polk County goes until 10:30, and there's a chance that this could recycle. We're pretty far from the radars. We're not getting a great view at that storm. One radar site up by Knoxville, another down in Atlanta, so we're about halfway in between the two with a bunch of mountains in the way. So keep that in mind, just one more complexity of the storms that we're following tonight. And of course, we can also jump back towards the Birmingham area. Birmingham itself under a severe thunderstorm warning. North of town near Coleman, a huge surge of wind and some embedded rotation still within that as well. Can't completely rule out when you see a kind of a signature like this that, back in that little loop-de-loop right in here, that there could still be some embedded rotation. So we've got all this air surging in this way and a big push of wind coming the other. And where those interact, which is right here where the reds and greens are right next to each other, there is still a chance that we could get that rotation, that rotating wind of a tornado, and it would be just south of Coleman at this point, still making its way on off towards the north and east at a very fast clip. And then just the straight line winds would be enough. We've got all kinds of wind making its way towards the Birmingham area. The lightning activity in here is just off the charts. We've got huge amounts of rain, okay, the rainfall rates, and so you put all that together and look at the scope of this flash flood warning. Now, I will say that the lightning has come down a bit compared to where it was in the Tuscaloosa area, so those updrafts have collapsed a little. That also means all that water that was suspended up in the sky is also collapsing along with it. So in the past 3 hours where we had that big lightning jump where the storms already came through and are ending a bit, 1 inch per hour rainfall rates over 3 hours, but a lot of that was in a very short period. That's more than enough to do some flooding. And now we're going into the paved over area of Birmingham. Comparatively, Birmingham, you haven't even begun yet when it comes to that heavy rain threat. So it's really going to be coming down along that I-65 corridor. The bottom line here is that we have a lot of risks in the Birmingham metro area, Liana, whether it's the rotation that could be there south of Coleman, the straight line winds near Birmingham, or the flooding rains and lightning for just about everybody. It's going to be a dangerous night continuing here across much of the south.
Yeah, I mean, it's already been an intense several hours. Take a look. We're looking at video from Laurel, Mississippi, live view from our storm tracker, John Humphreys. We've been seeing him just come across debris-strewn roads and even blocked roads where people are taking chainsaws to clear out these large trees. On the left-hand side, you can see these trees that are, it looks like this road has actually been cleared out by those chainsaws. You can see those clean marks on those tree branches and limbs there. But it's a slow go, and it looks like they're still moving very slowly, looking for additional debris that could be strewn across the roads. Unfortunately, we've already had 7 deaths in the state of Mississippi, unfortunately, and the threats, they keep on coming as we continue to track the severe storms that continue to march eastward. Notice how dark it is as well. Power outages galore. The nice thing is that temperatures are still on the warmer side, but you still need the power back on immediately, so that's why they're clearing the roads as fast as they can. Mark mentioned this. We have the threat for flash flooding likely as we get into tomorrow morning, and it's going to be spanning across a lot of real estate, digging down into the clipping parts of the Florida Panhandle and lifting up into parts of the Mid-Atlantic. But this zone right here, that's where we're going to have the biggest threats for flash flooding. We've already had some of those warnings pop up. We have a flash flood watch in effect through tonight. It is spanning from Memphis all the way up towards Nashville, Knoxville, Asheville, Chattanooga, clipping parts of northern Georgia, Huntsville, Tupelo. You're all included in that. And it's already starting to pick up. I mean, look at how heavy this rain has been. What I mean by that is all those shades of red, even back here towards Little Rock. That's some really intense rain that's coming out of the sky right there. So we have multiple threats that Mark has been talking about. We have those tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings, and flash flood warnings. This one is in effect until 11:30 p.m. Central Time. Again, it's good that so many people are staying home, not too many people out on the roads. If you must travel, maybe you're an essential worker, make sure you avoid. Never drive through a flooded roadway. Another flash flood warning. This is just in northern Georgia. We're looking at Boyan, Chattanooga Valley, Dalton cities. Those are going to be impacted through 3:30 a.m. Eastern Time. You were starting to see, notice what's out even further west. All that heavy rain is heading east. All right, let's continue our tour. We're going to continue to track this threat. Actually, parts of I-75 will be embedded in these zones, and we'll go back over here towards those multiple flash flood warnings that are impacting parts of Birmingham and Tuscaloosa. Let's go ahead and get the latest on the storm threat with Carl Parker in the lab.
Leanna, we want to tell you about some storms that are now in eastern parts of Arkansas and coming towards Memphis, Tennessee. We've got a very serious damaging wind threat along with these. They are moving quickly now along Interstate 40. Severe thunderstorm warning for Prairie and White and Woodruff counties. We do not yet have a warning for Memphis proper, but if we time this out, it's probably going to be coming into Memphis at about 10:19 Central Time. So got a little ways to go yet, but certainly a very serious damaging wind threat may be approaching Memphis later tonight. Also warning for Coahoma, Lee, and Phillips County until 9:45. We've been looking at a threat for 70-mile-per-hour winds as these storms move east at 50 miles per hour. So again, rapidly closing in on that 55 corridor over the next hour or so. Let's take you to the north of Birmingham and a brand new tornado warning to tell you about. We've got the ongoing warning in Cullman and Morgan County, and a new warning has just come out to the north of that. Blount County under warning, Cullman, Marshall, and Morgan counties under warning as well. Looking at the velocity data, that is actually tightened up. Look at that right in there. That circulation is the one we're concerned about, and that is coming across 278 right now. Going to be moving into Baileyton at about 9:24. Please get to your safe place right now in Baileyton, Alabama.
Now at Domino's, we're more than just hand-tossed pizza for $7.99. We're $7.99 gluten-free crust, $7.99 handmade pan crust, $7.99 Brooklyn-style crust, and $7.99 crunchy thin crust, too. Carry out 3-topping pizzas on any of Domino's 5 crusts for just $7.99 each.
I don't add up the years, and I don't count the wrinkles. But what I do count on is Boost High Protein.
And now introducing new Boost Women with key nutrients to help support thyroid, bone, hair, and skin health, all with great taste. New Boost Women, designed just for you.
There will be parties again soon, and family gatherings. There will be parades, and sporting events, and concerts. To help our communities when they come back together, respond to the 2020 census now. Spend a few minutes online today to impact the next 10 years of healthcare, infrastructure, and education. Go to 2020census.gov and respond today to make America's tomorrow brighter. It's time to shape our future.
It's a challenging market. Edward Jones is well aware of that, which is why we're ready to listen and ready to help you find opportunity.
So, let's talk.
Edward Jones, it's time for investing to feel individual.
I know people love the dish remote. It's great. So why build in the Google Assistant? I mean, who really needs a TV remote that can turn the thermostat up,
Change temperature to 72,
the lights down,
dim the lights,
and still access their DVR?
play video?
Actually, some people could absolutely use a remote like that. The new Dish Voice Remote. Dish, tuned in to you.
Am I too old to start skateboarding?
Something on your mind? Chew on it. Twizzlers.
Not even our competitor's best battery can match the power of Energizer, because Energizer Ultimate Lithium is the longest-lasting AA battery in the world. Energizer, backed by science, matched by no one.
Washing my hands, sometimes hundreds of times a day, made the cracks worse.
We're constantly washing our hands to maintain a sanitary condition, so your hands are always rough.
Try O'Keefe's Working Hands. It's America's #1 hand cream for guaranteed.
Fruit Loops, a delicious part of this complete breakfast.
With Armor All, a little bit of this protects you from a lot of that. Armor All, minimum effort, maximum protection.
A lot has changed in the last few weeks, but one thing hasn't. Breakfast. And if that feels like a little bit of comfort, it's thanks to the farmers, line workers, and truckers, the grocery stockers and cashiers, and the food bank workers. Because right now, breakfast as usual is more essential than ever.
To everyone around the world working so hard to bring breakfast to the table, thank you.
Wreck your Monday night. With all new episodes of Highway Through Hell at 8 and Heavy Rescue at 9. Monday night on the Weather Channel.
A high wind warning is in effect. Currently in our area, 56 degrees under cloudy skies. Tonight, windy with rain late, low 55, rainfall near a ½ an inch. Monday, windy with rain and possibly some thunder, high 66. 1 to 2 inches of rain expected. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Take it back.
Welcome back to our coverage of what has been a very dangerous night across many parts of the Deep South. There is a live look at Birmingham. Severe thunderstorm warning right now. We've got a threat of damaging wind coming through the city as we speak. And we could be looking at some 60-mile-per-hour winds. At least now, not a tornado warning for this area, but certainly there have been tornado warnings both to the west and now to the north. And let's take a look at what's going on the radar right now. And folks, I want you to know this is going to be one of those nights where storms keep going deep into the night, even into the overnight hours. Even tomorrow morning, we're going to be looking at more warnings across this region because you've got a really strong parent storm, a very energetic atmosphere. And let's begin with a look at some of these warnings here that are now into northern Alabama. We've got an ongoing tornado warning in effect that is just east of Coleman, Marshall, and Morgan counties under warning until 9:45. I'm not seeing quite as much evidence of circulation at this time. You can go back just a couple of frames here, and we're looking for these areas where you see sort of a little pinpoint, and right in there, that's sort of a telltale sign of some rotation right there just east of Coleman. And in successive frames here, it is not as obvious. There's certainly a shear line. There's an area where winds are coming out of different directions, but it's not what I would say a profoundly obvious rotational signature right now. So we'll keep our eyes on that. Warning ongoing for Jefferson, and you can see the strong wind coming into the metro. New warning now, a much larger one, Blount, Jefferson, St. Clair counties. That is going until 10:30 Central Time, and here the leading edge of that strong wind, as I said, just now coming into Birmingham. Southwestern Alabama, we've got a tornado warning to tell you about here. This is for Choctaw, Clark, and Washington counties until 9:45. This looks to be more of a damaging wind threat. You see that sort of a backward C shape right in there. We'll change the modes here, see if it looks any different. It's just about the same thing. So I think we've got primarily a damaging wind threat. There's a brand new scan, and that's going to be coming up towards McIntyre and Peacock, and maybe a tornado right at that little dog leg. That's one of the areas that we have to watch where you see a little kink right in there. Possibly a tornado developing there, but it looks like for the most part this is more of a damaging wind threat, at least right now. Now into the Atlanta metro, for the most part the weather has been clear of your area. We think that's going to change later tonight. There is an ongoing tornado warning in Polk County. This has been interesting. Mark was talking about this earlier. Look at the debris signature that showed up. That came right into Cisco and Crandall, and it was not a long-lived tornado. It was just a brief, tight rotation. A lot of trees up there, so probably a lot of tree debris showing up, and that came right across 411, and just as quickly it started to go away here. And so you got a little less instability as you get up into Tennessee, and for that reason, when we do see these spin-ups, they're probably going to be short-lived for the most part, as opposed to areas farther south where you've got a lot more instability and storms can keep going for a much longer period of time. So here's a look at the model forecast along with the very strong low-level winds. It's one of the key ingredients when you're looking at a tornado threat and a damaging wind threat, and we expect that this low-level jet is not only going to be in place, it's actually going to be getting stronger going through the overnight hours. So notice where it is and notice the storms there. Notice the character of the storms. If you look very closely, you can see a little bit of this shape in some of these storms. So that's the model indicating that we're going to see supercell storms embedded within that line. It's a line of storms overall, but it's got supercells or rotating storms embedded within the line. And that's going to be coming across south central Alabama over the next couple of hours here. So heads up in Montgomery and points farther south down into Mobile. Then we're going to watch that begin to move over into the Atlanta metro about 1 to 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning. And this is one of those nights, Mark, when we want people to be aware or have some way to wake up as the storms come in. Over to you.
Yeah, and if you needed one more thing to really heighten your alarm, we want to bring in Dana Baumgartner with the Jones County Fire Department. Dana, thanks for joining us. I know it's been a catastrophic day across the county. Can you explain where we are at this point?
Well, we're still responding to calls that we've not been able to get to. I've just spent about an hour trying to get about 2 miles. So there's a significant amount of damage, trees down, lots of injuries, so many that I've lost count so far. So we hope to tally those numbers later. But we have some significant damage all the way from the, southern west Jones County, outside of around Laurel, all the way kind of straight through to the northeast end of the county to Heidelberg up in Jasper County.
I'm so sorry to hear that. We do have some images on the screen from Laurel that just to kind of reiterate what you just told us. It looks like a structure completely just demolished, obliterated. Where do you go from here? You said you're still trying to get to some residents at this point?
We are. At this point, we have a couple of actual persons in danger that we're trying to get to and get them to safety. But after that, it's going to be weeks of cleanup. This is very significant for this county, and it'll take all hands on deck to get it back to normal, get all the roads passable and clean.
Absolutely. We're talking with Dana Baumgartner with the Jones County Fire Department there in Mississippi. Dana, I want to keep you with us. We're coming up against a hard break, and I don't want to get you cut off if I ask another question, but I'd love to talk with you more. So stay with us. We're going to talk more with Dana in just a second. Again, what you're looking at live here is a live view from Storm Tracker Charles Peak, who is in that same county in Laurel, Mississippi. That structure that you see into the darkness, into the distance there, completely demolished by storms earlier today. We'll be right back.
This right here is the new papadilla, which, if I'm not mistaken, is Latin for better than a sandwich. Even has a better pickle. Get a new papadilla for $6. Better ingredients, better pizza, better than a sandwich. Papa John's.
In the next minute, an animal who's been cruelly abused by a thoughtless owner might not survive. Every minute of every day in America, animals are feeling the pain of being abused or neglected. These animals have done nothing to deserve this treatment. And if you agree, then it's time to do something about it. It only takes a minute to help. But it's a minute that will matter more than you can imagine to an animal who's being hurt. So I hope you'll take this minute right now and visit this website or call the number on your screen. Join with your gift of just $19 a month, and you can rescue innocent animals from endless suffering. The next minute could mean the difference between life and death for an animal who's being hurt. It's just 63 cents a day, and I can tell you, you will make a difference. So I'm asking you, please, visit our easy-to-use website on any device or call this toll-free number now. And if you join in the next 10 minutes, we'll send you this membership kit. It comes with a magazine subscription, an animal photo, and this limited edition Animal Champion t-shirt designed exclusively for our new monthly supporters. Please go online or call now and don't delay, because there's an animal being abused right now, and the next minute of their life could really depend on you.
The difficult part for me was starting.
I've lost about 20 pounds, which blows my mind.
The psychology aspect of Noom was different than I'd ever seen before.
Noom helped me make a couple of lifestyle changes that made achieving that goal very easy.
It's a whole mentality change.
Now I've lost 10 pounds.
Down 22 pounds. 57 pounds. That's a lot of weight.
Just to know that you feel yourself again, it makes me so happy and proud. Visit Noom.com and change your life for good.
When we first opened our doors, it didn't take us long to realize
we weren't in the car business.
At Lexus, we were in the people business.
We needed to be helpful,
respectful,
and compassionate.
To treat people like guests.
It's what we all signed up for.
And now when people need this most, we will do what we've always done.
Take care of people first.
The rest will follow.
Fred would do anything for his daughter.
Get in, Fred.
Even if it means being the back half of a unicorn. Fear not, Fred. The front half washed the shirt with Gain detergent. That's the scent that puts the giddy in giddy up. Ah, the irresistible scent of Gain. For a scent with even more giddy up, try Gain Scent Blast in detergent, fabric softener, and scent beads.
Welcome back. We have continuing coverage here on the Weather Channel. Severe weather has already come through portions of Mississippi. With the scope of the cleanup here to go in Laurel, it's dangerous already out there with trees covering roads, first responders that can't get to people that are still calling for help. I do want to quickly tell you that there are more storms on the way, just crossing over the river, coming into northern and central Mississippi. The whole western side of your state under severe thunderstorm warnings. These will eventually come into areas that were already impacted from earlier today. So if you're not in a safe spot, you're listening in, try to get to a safe spot now while the weather is quiet. If you were listening with us before the break, we were talking with Dana Baumgartner from this area, Jones County. I want to bring her back in. Dana, thanks so much for spending some time with us tonight.
Yes, sir.
As you mentioned that you're having a tough time with the first responders even getting to some of the residents that are still calling for help. Is there any sense on the scope and the scale, how many homes or businesses were damaged, or is it too early to know at this point?
It's too early to know at this point. I think tomorrow we'll have a lot more information for you guys on that front. But thankfully, we did not have a whole lot of businesses in the path. I think So Mississippi did probably have some. We did have a volunteer fire department that was pretty much demolished in So. And there's just so many homes that have sustained damage, and some of the homes are irreparable, and with several injuries, and at least one fatality.
I'm so sorry to hear that. You mentioned one of the volunteer fire departments was hit. When the first responders are taken out, when the trucks are taken out like that, and it's such a wide-scale event, where do you go for mutual aid? Are there communities that weren't hit that are able to help you guys tonight?
Absolutely. We've had department personnel from Wayne County. We've had Jasper County come in. We had ambulances from AMR and Hafford EMS. I'm sure there's some other ones that I just have not seen yet. But people from all over have come in to help this area, and we're very, very, very grateful.
And yet it's got to be hard for those first responders, to even get in. You said the scope of the tree damage was pretty intense.
It is, yes. They've had difficulty as well getting to people, just like we have. They're following our fire trucks around and just trying to get to all the patients to treat everybody.
Any sense on how many of your roads are still shut down, closed, barricaded off, either by trees or by police at this point?
I could not give you a number. I know that many of them now are passable at least a little bit, maybe not fully functional, but they're where you can kind of drive through. Where I'm at currently, there is a path on a 2-lane road that kind of one lane is kind of weaving in and out of the trees that are down and things like that. So we're getting there. We just hadn't got it all where we can at least get through yet.
Sure, and you're responding, of course, with the fire department. Any reports of fires, gas leaks, things that you're really concerned about tonight?
We have had a couple of reports of gas leaks, and I know that the local gas companies are responding to those. Of course, the power companies are multiple reports of power lines down. That's everywhere, all through the path of the tornado. But nothing that I'm aware of at this point that has been a gas leak or anything like that to threaten life.
And again,
but no structure fires, thank goodness.
Oh, thank goodness. That is a good thing. While we're talking with you, we're getting some live views from the Laurel, Mississippi area, and it seems like a garage attached to a building that's just completely shifted and a really significant structural damage. How much of that type of damage have you encountered tonight? Is this a one-off thing? Is this almost all the homes you've seen? Kind of paint the picture for us.
It is all over. I left an area earlier in the evening where a mobile home was sitting in the middle of a road. I've seen a mobile home right next, that was across the road from one home, and now it's sitting right on top of that home. So significant property damage, and we're just trying to do the best we can with this and get to everybody.
Just a catastrophic night already, day into night. That's Dana Baumgartner with Jones County, the Mississippi area Fire Department. Thanks so much for talking with us. Good luck getting to everyone that you're still trying to get to tonight, and just try to stay as safe as you can.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
We'll be thinking of Jones County as well as so many of the others tonight. You're looking live at some of the damage, a structure that is completely shifted, garage doors blown in, some walls failing there. So a dangerous spot to even be there, giving us those views. Hopefully they'll back up soon, and we'll be right back to show you where the active weather is.
What does it mean to be a good neighbor?
It means being there for each other.
And that's why State Farm is announcing the Good Neighbor Relief Program.
We know that our customers are driving less, which means fewer accidents.
So State Farm's returning $2 billion to auto policyholders for the period ending May 31st.
And we'll continue making real-time decisions to best serve you, our customers.
Because now, more than ever, being a good neighbor means everything. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Washing my hands, sometimes hundreds of times a day, made the cracks worse.
We're constantly washing our hands to maintain a sanitary condition, so your hands are always rough.
Try O'Keefe's Working Hands. It's America's #1 hand cream for guaranteed relief of dry, cracked hands. Not even our competitor's best battery can match the power of Energizer, because Energizer Ultimate Lithium is the longest-lasting AA battery in the world. Energizer, backed by science, matched by no one.
No, this ain't no sandwich. Because on a sandwich, they ask you if you want cheese. But on a papadilla, cheese is what's holding the whole operation together. Get one now for just $6. Better ingredients, better pizza, better than a sandwich. Papa John's.
Boss, whoa, back check.
Get the flavors they want and the goodness you'll love. Together with Sunmaid.
Go, you're gonna be late.
Mom, bag check.
Sunmaid, raisins, yogurt-covered, and sour fruit snacks made delicious with whole fruit.
There will be parties again soon, and family gatherings.
There will be parades and sporting events and concerts. To help our communities when they come back together, respond to the 2020 census now. Spend a few minutes online today to impact the next 10 years of healthcare, infrastructure, and education. Go to 2020census.gov and respond today to make America's tomorrow brighter. It's time to shape our future.
I have the power to lower my blood sugar and A1C.
Because I can still make my own insulin, and Trulicity activates my body to release it, like it's supposed to. Once weekly Trulicity is for type 2 diabetes. It's not insulin. It starts acting from the first dose, and it lowers risk of heart attack, stroke, or death in people with known heart disease or multiple risk factors.
Trulicity isn't for people with type 1 diabetes or diabetic ketoacidosis. Don't take Trulicity if you're allergic to it. You or your family have medullary thyroid cancer or have multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2. Stop Trulicity and call your doctor right away if you have an allergic reaction, a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, changes in vision, or diabetic retinopathy. Serious side effects may include pancreatitis. Taking Trulicity with sulfonylurea or insulin raises low blood sugar risk. Side effects include nausea, diarrhea, vomiting, belly pain, and decreased appetite, which lead to dehydration and may worsen kidney problems.
I have it within me to lower my A1C.
Ask your doctor about Trulicity. Welcome back to our coverage of severe weather. We do have some new tornado warnings to tell you about. It's going to be a very long night across a lot of the Deep South. We hope that you'll stay with us through the night tonight. If you've got to go to bed, make sure that you've got your phone on out ahead of this line of storms in Georgia as well as southeast Alabama, because you've got to have a way to be notified of these storms as they're coming through. We could very well be looking at tornado warnings going deep into the overnight, even into tomorrow morning. Let's take a look at some of the new warnings here. First of all, northeast of Birmingham, brand new tornado warning in effect right now. That includes Albertville, that's DeKalb and Marshall counties, going until 10 p.m. So seeing some rotation showing up here near Douglas and just west of 431. Let's track that out. It's sort of a broader rotation, and that's going to be coming towards Albertville as well as Hustleville and Five Forks. A possible tornado coming your way, that moving towards the east-northeast. All of these storms moving very quickly. That's one of the hallmarks of the storms today. You've got really strong wind fields, and that is part of what is driving this tornado and damaging wind threat. In southwestern Alabama, a couple of tornado warnings to tell you about here. One of these in effect for Marengo County going until 10 p.m. Looking at the velocity data, I'm not seeing anything that really stands out. There is some rotation showing up right in there, and that's going to be coming towards Hamden as well as Prairie Bluff. We're just not getting a really good look at it. It's a little bit far from the radar. Then to the south of that, got another warning here, and that is in effect for Choctaw, Clark, and Washington counties. Leading edge of that storm just about out of the warning. You can see there is a little dog leg there. I'm going to zoom in on that, and that is northeast of Jackson. So you see a couple of areas where you see this little notch. There's one right here near 84, another one right in there. So you certainly have to watch those spots where you see that little bit of a sort of an L shape. That could be an area where you could be looking at tornadoes. But again, in this area, I'm not seeing anything that looks really profound at this time. So let's go farther off towards the north. And here, by the way, the very strong winds that are coming up from the south. The low-level jet, a big part of what is driving this tornado threat and the damaging wind threat, adding to the shear in the atmosphere. And that shear is what gets these storms rotating. That's the beginning of the process that leads to these tornadoes developing. Now, here into areas of western Mississippi and also eastern Arkansas, warning for Cross, Poinsett, and St. Francis counties. This is now coming towards the Memphis area. I'm going to move this forward just a little bit to catch up with the storms there. So that'll be moving into West Memphis about 10:15, and Memphis around 10:26 could very well be damaging winds coming your way as that moves in. Then we see also warning to the south, Coahoma, Lee, and Phillips County, warning going until 9:45, and another one to the east of that, including Tunica County, going until 10:30. 70 mile per hour wind is the threat with these storms. Now, in the Atlanta metro area, you notice here that it has been, relatively quiet as compared to what's going on to the north and west. You also notice that there's a tornado watch that is north and west of a lot of the metro. Does that mean that you're not going to see a lot of weather tonight? Absolutely not. That only means that the more imminent threat is in the northern part of Georgia, but we do expect that a tornado watch is going to be issued for the Atlanta metro area, and I want to show you the high-resolution model forecast showing us that low-level jet. We talk about the importance of that in the shear that develops, and we see these storms coming into Atlanta around 1 to 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning. So again, very late tonight, and there could easily be a whole series of supercell storms contained within the line of storms that's coming through. So a broken line, as we say, coming through, and we could very well be looking at tornado warnings in addition to severe thunderstorm warnings coming through this area. So again, if you're going to go to bed, fine. Just make sure that you have a way to be notified, whether that's a weather radio. I know not a lot of people have those, but everybody's got a phone, and pretty much every phone has got the capability of letting you know that there is a warning. Just have to leave it on, leave it in alert mode, and make sure that it's nearby, and so it will wake you up. Because again, Liana, we do expect that it's going to be going for a lot of the night tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be a long night, Carl. Let's take you now to Laurel, Mississippi, where we have our storm tracker, Charles Peak. He's at the site of some damage. It looks like a home. This is heartbreaking. Completely obliterated, it almost looks like. So much debris. You can see it looks like lots of trees down, large trees at that. And whoa, look at this. This is so sad to see this. I mean, we've already had 7 deaths in the state of Mississippi. And thank goodness you're behind this threat. You had some lingering showers, but for the most part, now is the time to clean up. And unfortunately, you can see the debris that's just littered across the area. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, it looks like, you can't even make out some of these objects because that's how badly damaged they are. Now, as we get into the rest of tonight and into tomorrow, we're going to be tracking this line of storms working its way in towards the coastal areas of the East Coast. All right, take a look. We have torcons of 5. That's moderate, not as high as what we've been seeing today, but it's still a decent chance of seeing tornadoes for tomorrow for Raleigh, North Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, and Savannah, Georgia. Now, that's right along the coast. All of this energy is going to be heading your way, and it's going to be really into the morning hours. That's going to be the time. So we have that torcon of 5 right in the red right here, kind of a little bit farther south towards the Florida Panhandle. We have torcons of 3 as well as torcons of 2. So of course that lower chance extending a little bit farther west of the coast. But we get into it as we have severe thunderstorms. It's not just the tornado threat. We also have those damaging winds, 60+ mile-per-hour winds, as well as plenty of heavy rain, flash flooding. That's going to be a big problem. Take a look as we time it out. 11 p.m. It's still that whole line that Carl was just talking about. That's continuing to work its way through the interior of the South, and then it reaches into parts of the Carolinas. This is 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. We're watching this whole mess. So make sure you have a way to get those alerts. I think the good news is that so many people are at home, so you are able to shelter in place. So as we get into 10 a.m., it's starting to get closer and closer towards the Outer Banks. But by midday, the main time that you will really kind of be good is really closer to about 1 p.m. So by 1 p.m. early afternoon, it's departing the area. And unfortunately, we do have that threat for damaging winds as well.
Domino's has contactless delivery, so you can safely get pizza even while you stay indoors.
Just take those old records off the shelf. I sit and listen to them by myself. Today's music ain't got the same soul.
Next time you get 2 or more medium 2-topping pizzas for $5.99 each, choose contactless delivery from Domino's.
For over 75 years, people have saved money with Geico. Sorry.
Here we go, from the top, and action.
For over 75 years, people have saved money with Gecko.
Cut it.
What did I say? Gecko. I said Gecko. Oh. For over 75 years...
Keep it together.
I'm good. For over 70. What are you doing there? Stop making me laugh.
Geico, saving people money for over 75 years.
Don't look at me. Don't look at me.
It's totally normal to have constipation with belly pain, straining, and bloating again and again.
No way.
More exercise, more water, and more fiber is the only way to manage it.
Is it?
Maybe you think it's occasional constipation.
Maybe it's not.
It could be a chronic medical condition called IBS-C, and time to say yes to Linzess. Linzess works differently than laxatives. It helps relieve belly pain and lets you have more frequent and complete bowel movements. Do not give Linzess to children less than 6, and it should not be given to children 6 to less than 18. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Change your thinking to IBS-C. If your constipation and belly pain keeps coming back, tell your doctor. And
So, what's the plan?
You jump in there, the drought ends, and then the crops grow.
Okay, what if instead we just built something that would get the water from the river down to the fields? Like with tubes or something?
Well, everybody walked all the way up here, so...
Go on, get on with it.
In you go. No, you're right.
Eventually, somebody realizes there's a better way to do things, like a mobile service with the fastest overall speeds. Now with 5G, it's a better way to mobile. It's Spectrum Mobile.
Why should young people care about the spread of coronavirus? Well, we know that people with underlying medical conditions over the age of 60 are at highest risk, but they've got to get it from somebody.
So we're asking everyone to be selfless for others so that we can protect those who are most susceptible.
Not going to bars, not going to restaurants. It all just means physical separation so that you have a space between you and others.
For more information on how you can social distance, please go to coronavirus.gov.
and try for free.
To get the most out of your mornings, you need to know what weather is heading your way. Wake up watching AMHQ. Weekday mornings on the Weather Channel.
A high wind warning is in effect. Currently in our area, 56 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Tonight, windy with rain late, low 55, rainfall near a ½ inch. Monday, windy with rain and possibly some thunder, high 66. 1 to 2 inches of rain expected. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Welcome back to our coverage of severe weather. One of the big things we've been talking about tonight is the fact that these storms are not going to calm down as we get deeper into the evening. You've got an incredibly energetic atmosphere, and it's going to be that way all night long. So let's take a look at some of the latest tornado warnings here, and they are in the southern part of Alabama, just north of Monroeville and west of 65. One of those warnings now in effect here for Clark and Monroe and Wilcox counties going until 10:30. Got a little bit of a notch there that is just east of Thomasville, and so some rotation along with that. That's going to be coming towards Culpeper and Dry Forks and Camden. Then to the north of that, you can see actually a little swirl in the reflectivity right in there. You can see that little bit of swirling going on. That's Wilcox County under warning until 10:30, and there is the rotation right in there. That is southwest of Alberta. Taking a look at the loop here so we can get a sense of the vector, that appears to be just about northeast, maybe just a little south of northeast. So taking that forward, that'll come up into Prairie as well as Alberta and Orville. In all of those areas, we want you to get to your safe place right away, as you've got a possible tornado coming your way. Mark, over to you.
storm carefully for sure. Now we want to bring in Charles Peak. Charles Peak has been in Laurel, Mississippi for us tonight, and now he can hear us and we can hear him. Charles, the views coming out of your camera here are just heart-wrenching for this Easter Sunday.
Yeah, Mark, and specifically when you think at this location, we had a senior adult lady pass away in the storm here. This was the location where she was, and talked to family members here, and they had the warnings. This was a well-built home, but this was just devastating enough that this couldn't be withstood.
I mean, it seems like there is stuff everywhere. Is this all from one home? Were there several homes here?
This is all one home. You can see where I'm standing right now is the foundation, and very little that is here at the foundation site, but off to the north, probably another 25-30 yards is much of the debris from the home. And you can see the walls, you can see air conditioning piping. There's the stove right over here. It really tells you just the devastation that that these experience. One of the bad things here, literally, I've been with the fire department, is they've been having to clear the roads across the street. They had 3 people they had to take to the ambulance or to the hospital by ambulance, and literally we just now got to them where they could do that. Fortunately, they weren't life-threatening injuries, but it's just that bad, and that they couldn't even get the apparatus back here to take people to the hospital.
Hey Charles, Liana Brackett here. Is this the only home that was damaged in the area? Can you kind of describe the entire area? Is this like a lone house? You know, are there other homes that are damaged as well?
Yes, there's several firemen have told me they felt like it was about a mile-wide path along here. You've had numerous homes here. Again, I got an interview with a lady sort of across the street and down about 100 yards, was family member for the lady here. And their house was damaged, and then about another 100 yards down was the ones they had to take to the hospital, and they were in a trailer home that was totally destroyed. So you've got just widespread damage. The public information officer here for the fire department said they had so many injury reports she couldn't even keep up with them.
And I mean, we're looking at your feed here, full refrigerators, stoves that are launched across. I mean, it really does speak to the strength of the speed of the winds. We know that not every home is a well-built, multiple-story brick construction. It's just the fact of life. It's not. But even so, you ever try to move a fridge? It's hard. These things are thrown blocks away. Charles, this is just incredible, the amount of stuff that is thrown around here.
Yes, sir, Mark, and about I'd say about a quarter mile to the north from here, I was on a house earlier, and is a relative of the lady who passed away here, and he's the one that told me. But across the street from his house, he was telling me, because you wouldn't have known it, he said there was a trailer home there. He said, we walked over there, you can't find anything of it left, you know, so fortunately nobody was home in that trailer when that happened, but literally completely gone, not even having debris very close to it.
Now, overall, Charles, is this kind of a, you know, it's just devastating to see something like this, but is it a very tight-knit community as far as, like, is this like one city and then it's completely surrounded by rural terrain?
A lot of it is. This is actually in the rural area where we're at right now, but this particular road, most everybody on here is actually family members. So needless to say, they're cousins and distant family members, but still nonetheless, it's been a shock to have all of them being hit like this. And then they're telling me in Sozo, I think is how you pronounce it, that it's really bad there, and I haven't made it there just yet.
All right, that's Charles Peak, storm tracker for us in Laurel, Mississippi, Jones County. We'll talk with him more coming up. Don't go anywhere.
You may not
not see them, but your itchy eyes know they're out there. Thousands of allergens in each cubic yard of air. No wonder you rub your eyes hundreds of times a day. But now, relief is just one drop away. Introducing Pataday. Full prescription strength Pataday works right in your eyes, right on the cells that make them itch. Fast. Just one drop once a day means relief that lasts all day. So turn your day into a Pataday. Now get Pataday without a prescription. Everywhere.
Hey, Boston. Hey, Atlanta. Hola, Miami. Hi, New York. Hey, LA. Chicago. Hey, America.
Trust me, you're going to love this. Come on.
2 tablespoons of sugar.
But kind of your average
This is the place to be.
Something for everyone. Local now. Download for free in your favorite app store.
Rise to greatness. You can do anything.
At Papa John's, we want you to know that from our 450-degree oven to box to you, it's our policy that your pizza is never touched once it comes out of the oven. And we're taking extra steps like no contact delivery to ensure it.
These days, it's anything but business as usual. That's why working together is more important than ever. AT&T is committed to keeping you connected so you can keep your patients cared for, your customers served, your students inspired, and your employees closer than ever. Our network is resilient. Our people are strong. Our job is to keep your business connected. It's what we've always done. It's what we'll always do.
I heard you the first time. I just wanted to hear it again.
Now available at Walmart.com. Hearing Assist rechargeable hearing aids for hundreds, not thousands of dollars, including our new app-controlled hearing aid that gives you full control of your sound environment. Save $200 at Walmart.com or purchase your hearing aids at one of our displays at Walmart stores in Texas, Arizona, Colorado, Tennessee, and North Carolina.
Capital One knows life doesn't update you about your credit card. So meet Eno, the Capital One assistant that looks out for charges that might surprise you and helps you fix them. Another way Capital One is watching out for your money when you're not. What's in your wallet?
Welcome back. We are following very active storms now across a lot of the Deep South, and a new warning to tell you about, and that is in far northeastern Alabama, far northwestern Georgia. Tornado warning in effect here for parts of Alabama, small part, DeKalb and Jackson counties under warning, and then in northwest Georgia, it is Dade and Walker counties. We could very well be looking at a tornado coming towards Trenton. You need to get to your safe place right now. Strong circulation showing up there, and that is now just west of Interstate 59 and near Trenton and about ready to move in. Now moving east at 35 miles per hour. So let's track that forward. And again, it's going to be coming into at least parts of the Trenton area, if not actually right through the downtown, coming into Trenton here in just the next few minutes of very, very short order. Into Durham at 11:04, Hayesville at 11:09, and Chickamauga at 11:14. Now let's circle this area and see if there's some debris showing up. We have been looking at certainly a very strong rotation. I'm not seeing any clear-cut evidence of debris at this time, but the circulation is definitely very strong. And again, that is coming towards Trenton right now and towards that I-59 corridor. So please get to your safe place right now, as you've got a possible tornado coming through. There's a brand new scan, and we're still seeing the rotation showing up. And again, that is just about on top of Trenton, right in here. That's the area where it's coming across 59 right now. As a matter of fact, I'm going to circle this one more time, and let's see if there's any debris showing up right now. And there is indeed a little bit of debris showing up there, so we could very well be looking at a tornado right now coming just along the south side of Trenton. That's right where we're seeing some rotation showing up, so heads up on that. A possible tornado coming along the south side of Trenton as we speak. There's a tornado watch in effect here for North Georgia, not in Atlanta right yet, but we do expect that there will be a tornado watch issued for the Atlanta metro. We're going to talk more about the timing coming up here in a few minutes. Also into South Alabama, got a couple of tornado warnings to tell you about here. Clark, Monroe, and Wilcox County under warning. Seeing some evidence of rotation there just west of Camden. Also another warning to the north of that. That is Wilcox County under warning. And so you can see where we've got these little dog legs right in there. There's one right in there, one right in there. That's where we're looking at potentially some circulation. This is not a great spot for radar. We're pretty far away from the radars here, and so perhaps a tornado coming towards Alberta and Orville as well, and we'll continue to keep a very close eye on that area. Then into Birmingham, great big severe thunderstorm warning has been issued, but all of this weather is going to be translating over across towards the Georgia state line and into Atlanta later tonight, so we want you to be on your toes there in the Atlanta metro area. We'll talk about the timing coming up here in just a couple of minutes, but first let's get out to Mark with the latest on the damage in Mississippi.
Yeah, Carl, the damage that we've been watching in Mississippi has just been heart-wrenching. This is Laurel, Mississippi, debris strewn everywhere. Our own Charles Peak has been tracking the storms and tracking the cleanup after the storms for us as well tonight, and we're bringing him back on live with us right now. Charles, just your heart goes out to these communities and the people that were in these homes. When you see this kind of debris thrown everywhere, there's almost not good words for it.
Yeah, Mark, it's one of those situations that I've been walking around here. You know, right now you look at it and it's just a bunch of tornado debris, but you think about it earlier this morning on Easter Sunday morning, Miss Sarah here, this wasn't how she was thinking her day was going to go. And all of a sudden you sit there and you realize that all of these pieces were part of her life. She was in her 80s, but yet she still lived here, and you wouldn't have thought when she woke up this morning that this was the last day that she would be alive. And so as I'm walking around seeing these different pieces that represent her home and her life, your heart just really breaks, and you realize it's not just tornado debris, it's somebody's home, it's somebody's life, it's Sarah's life, and this is where she lived. And unfortunately, this is where she passed away tonight because of this terrible tornado. And as we know, there's stories like this all over southern Mississippi tonight.
Yeah, just you're right, Charles. It is, you know, pieces of that home and pieces of that life, and just so hard to wrap your head around it coming through the television screen. When you see, a fridge and a freezer there, just so far away from where the home's foundation was. These are not light objects that were tossed by these winds, even if it's not the most well-constructed home on the earth, right? Just the fact that it could move these things that far shows you how strong some of these winds were.
Well, you can see with a lot of the wooden structure here, this, while not a brick home, was a well-built structure. It wasn't a modular home here. It was a well-built stick home, but yet, needless to say, this tornado took it down to mere rubble.
And it seems like there's trees within it as well. Are there huge trees that maybe crashed through the home, and that's where the weakness occurred from the wind?
No, just to give you an idea of knowing it's a tornado, I can't get back over there now, but behind the debris you see about 20 or 30 yards is the foundation of the house. So obviously it blew all the debris from the house this direction, but as you can see, this tree was blown back towards where the debris is, so almost exactly the opposite of how the house was blown.
Yeah, and that's one of those, telltale signs when you have things blown in two different directions from the same storm that the National Weather Service team would be out looking for and surveying to try to find out the scope of these winds. But just from using the radar earlier, already the National Weather Service was talking about estimating, EF4 potential type storms and type damage just from the radar velocities. Now, that's not the way it will get its final rating. but it does give them a starting point to, look at that upper echelon of tornadoes. This was a very dangerous storm on a very dangerous day. Charles, tell us a little bit about the ordeal it took for you to even get to this home.
Well, unfortunately, I've been in this area before covering tornadoes, and so the public information officer, Dana Bumgardner, with, I think we talked to her a little earlier, with Jones County Fire Department. We're friends now, and I started texting her as I was coming down this way, and she was letting me know some of the things that she was seeing and hearing, and so she escorted me back into this area. But like I said, we had to it probably took over an hour because we had to keep coming to the trees and the firemen with their chainsaws to clear the road for them to be able to get back here.
And I mean, that's an important part of the search and recovery and rescue. But let's say somebody got their foot cut on some of this tornado debris. Without those roads cleared, there's no way to get to them.
That's correct. One of the ones they took to the hospital, she was 14 weeks pregnant, and possibly a broken hip is what some of them said. They obviously have to x-ray that and figure it out, but you could eat with a pregnant lady and it take over an hour to be able to get an ambulance to them. Fortunately, she was in a lot of pain, but she appeared to be okay when they took her off.
It's such a scary night, one of many scary stories. You try to put your mind in that scenario, get in that mindset of what that woman must have been thinking about and feeling for an hour after calling for help and not having anyone arrive. You were driving around. I saw your feed, with the emergency crews as they were trying to make their way through. Could you tell if it was just as difficult to continue in that same direction? I know you stopped here to kind of bring us those views, but were there still trees down out ahead of you that they would still have to cut their way through and basically clear every single road of the county, more or less?
I do believe that was the case. When we turned off on this road, there was still debris, and a sheriff was telling me there was 2 cars blocked, trapped in there, not trapped that the trees were on them, but just they couldn't get out because trees were down in front and behind them. And on this particular road, they've cleared it from both ends. They had to be able to get emergency crews in here because of what all transpired here.
Is there anything that you're seeing that we're not, that is going to be one of those moments that sticks with you? Like, I can't even tell what some of this stuff is as you're walking past.
Yeah, I mean, you can see, right here, there evidently was some kind of garage or carport type situation on cinder blocks. You can see right there is a major transformer that was taken down that I'm sure supplied the house, and you just can't see out here with it so dark. The power lines are everywhere. I can hear in the background this chainsaws going, so obviously they're still clearing roads and trying to get things where that people can get through and check on things. Mark, I see this pretty regularly, but boy, this just breaks my heart to think about what's transpired tonight.
And so that's the main water line that was going into the home, is that correct?
It looks like it does look to be the water line. It goes underneath into the ground, so I'm assuming it was the main line that fed the house, or at least out the back. Well, no, it wouldn't have been the main line because you would have had it under the foundation here.
Yeah, it's so jarring.
An outside spigot of some sort.
It's so jarring because you can't tell where that home was. We can't see the foundation. I know you can kind of get a better sense of it walking around, but it's just a pipe sticking out, spewing water out. We talked to Dana. You're right, Dana Baumgartner, to get some information. She said, luckily, no gas leaks that she's heard of, because that's one of the main risks after a tornado comes through, that the gas lines are severed, and then there could be fires popping up. So the good news is that we haven't heard of that. There haven't been any house fires tonight. But Charles, little consolation when you're seeing a scene like this. Just a devastating scene tonight.
Yeah, you can see here a TV, a window, a bunch of clothes in here. In this particular area, I just walked past it. I'm going to think that maybe this is a propane type situation rather than natural gas lines. So that might have been a good thing out here in this particular area to not have gas lines going.
Yeah,
you can see here's a tree that was just, a large tree.
Wow. And just snapped partway up, and the bark is gone. The tree is somewhere else, or you can see parts of the branches there, but goodness gracious. Charles, stay safe out there. As you know, treat all the power lines as if they're live. Watch out where you're stepping. Lots of exposed nails, lots of sharp corners out there. So whether it's Charles walking around or if you're out surveying damage in your home, please be careful tonight. And Charles, we're going to check back in with you in just a little bit. Thank you so much for that report. We do want to go back into the lab now to give everyone an update on where the storms are now and where the most active weather is. So for that, let's go to storm specialist Carl Parker.
Yeah, Mark, and the thing that we really want to impress upon people is that we've got such an energetic system, and it's going to continue to be that way all night long, even into tomorrow morning. And so we're going to see warnings all night long here. We're going to be live with you through the night and into tomorrow morning. So certainly anytime you want to flip on the TV, you can see what's going on. But if you're going to go to bed, make sure you have a way to wake up if a warning is issued. The easiest way to do that for most people is just to leave your phone on and make sure the alert mode is on, because it will let you know if there is a warning for your area. But let's get into some of the warnings right now. First of all, in southern Alabama, and heads up in Montgomery, this weather is not very far away from you and moving quickly as it has all night. Tornado warning for Monroe and Wilcox County. Also tornado warning for Wilcox County to the north there until 10:30. And so we're seeing some little kinks here. There's one little sort of a dog leg right there, another one right in there. And so in those spots, there's potential for tornadoes. This is not actually covered by the tornado warning, but let's just go ahead and show you where that's going to be headed. That's coming towards Tasso, and then another little dog leg near Camden right now, and that's going to be coming up towards Tilden and also into Shawnee. But there's been a severe thunderstorm warning that's been issued farther to the northeast, so they've elected to not continue the tornado warning farther northeast and up into Selma. That's Dallas County under severe thunderstorm warning right now, with the potential for some 60-mile-per-hour wind and also penny-size hail. Now let's go farther north, and we're looking at an ongoing tornado warning in northwest Georgia. Last we checked, not as much of a threat here. You can see how this is merged into more of a damaging wind threat, leading edge of very strong winds now coming across Chattanooga Valley, not very far away from Rock Spring right now. Extending farther down to the south, though, you notice that we've got a tornado watch in effect for North Georgia, but we do expect that a tornado warning is going to be issued for the Atlanta metro, the rest of the Atlanta metro, not very long from now. So don't think that just because there is not a tornado watch in effect that you're going to be in good shape into this evening. That is not the case. Also want to show you a new tornado warning here in South Carolina, and that is in effect now just southeast of Greenville. Tornado warning in effect near due west and moving towards the northeast. That's for Lawrence, Greenville, Spartanburg, Abbeville, and Greenwood counties, moving northeast at 50 miles per hour. I'll track that forward for you and show you where that's going to be headed in the next few minutes. Coming into Cokesbury, as well as Ware Shoals, Gray Court, Fountain Inn, and also into Woodruff. So South Carolina is starting to get in on some of this weather. Back to the Atlanta metro. Here you see all the storms that are now off to the west there. That is what is headed your way. That's what's going to be coming into Atlanta tonight. And so again, heads up, 1 to 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning could very well be a whole series of tornado warnings issued across the metro. And then back towards Memphis, Tennessee, we've got severe thunderstorms here. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Crittenden and Cross and St. Francis County. 60-mile-per-hour wind knocking on the door there in Memphis. And then to the south of that, a couple of warnings here and some very strong wind coming towards Holly Springs in the next few minutes.
Not even our competitor's best battery can match the power of Energizer, because Energizer Ultimate Lithium is the longest-lasting AA battery in the world. Energizer, backed by science, matched by no one.
At Philadelphia, we know what makes the perfect schmear of cream cheese. The recipe we invented over 145 years ago, and me, the world's best, and possibly only, schmelier. Philadelphia, schmear perfection.
I know people love the dish remote. It's great. So why build in the Google Assistant? I mean, who really needs a TV remote that can turn the thermostat up,
change temperature to 72,
the lights down,
dim the lights,
and still access their DVR. Actually, some people could absolutely use a remote like that.
The new Dish Voice Remote. Dish, tuned in to you.
It's never been more important to protect ourselves from germs. Washing your hands often and disinfecting surfaces are crucial. And not just in the home. You know WeatherTech products have always protected your vehicle, but they'll also protect you. WeatherTech features non-porous surfaces that can easily be wiped with germ-killing disinfectants. It's not so easy with carpet mats. And seat protectors are easily machine washable. Order at WeatherTech.com and stay safe.
Domino's has contactless delivery, so you can safely get pizza even while you stay indoors.
Just take those old records off the shelf. I sit and listen to them by myself. Today's music ain't got the same soul.
Next time you get 2 or more medium 2-topping pizzas for $5.99 each, choose contactless delivery from Domino's.
Doing the things we love can be painful. Aspercream's triple effect provides targeted relief, works in minutes, lasts for hours. Love hurts. Aspercream works.
It's a familiar story. Allergies ruining your sleep and next day too. Taking Zysol at night relieves allergies while you sleep, so you wake refreshed. Plus, it works faster than Claritin and on first dose provides the same relief as Zyrtec at nearly half the size. Be wise all. Take Zysol at night.
We New Yorkers have been through a lot. But in our darkest moments, we always find the light. We know what it means to look out for our neighbors, even if we've never even met them before. And with your strength and our more than 70,000 caring professionals, we'll heal once again, together, because that's just what New Yorkers do. Get the facts at northwell.edu/prepared and follow government guidance.
Download the free app today.
Wreck your Monday night. With all new episodes of Highway Through Hell at 8 and Heavy Rescue at 9. Monday night on the Weather Channel.
A high wind warning is in effect. Currently in our area, 56 degrees under fair skies. Tonight, rain and wind, low 55. Rainfall near a half an inch. Monday, windy with rain and possibly some thunder, high 63. Rainfall possibly over 1 inch. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Welcome back to our coverage of severe weather. You are looking at live pictures from Rossville, Georgia. This is just south of Chattanooga, and look at it going there. These are winds of 60 and maybe 70 miles per hour. There is a warning right now for 70-mile-per-hour winds in Chattanooga. You see the frequent lightning as well. A lot of these storms, as they come through tonight, are really going to mean business. There's so much wind in the atmosphere, and it doesn't take very much to bring that wind wind down to the ground. You've got winds of easily 70 miles per hour, just about 5,000 feet up. And so where we get some of these stronger storms, they can transfer that energy down, and the result is what you see right there. And of course, not a lot of people out tonight. This is the last thing that you want to deal with, of course, in a pandemic, but we're going to keep you safe tonight. We're going to be watching this all night long. Our coverage will continue, and we expect to see more of this kind of thing going on right through the overnight hours, even into tomorrow morning. It's really not going to let up, as you've got such a strong parent system coming through the southeast right now. So going to be a really serious, not just tornado threat, but damaging wind threat as well. And there's a live look at Chattanooga. And so we've got, again, this very serious wind threat now coming through. And let's talk a little bit about the storm that is now moving through this area. So we'll zoom on in. And you'll notice that the weather is extending now from northeast parts of Alabama into northwest Georgia. Here you see a couple of warnings. Ongoing warning for Walker County, but the storm is through now. It's just basically a wind threat. Here's the tornado warning issued just south of Chattanooga. So what's happening here is you've got the leading edge of some very strong wind right there, and then a little kink has developed along that leading edge, and it is with that there could be a tornado circulation. And this is just about the camera that we were looking at there. You still see it up there in the bottom of your screen. So this possible tornado coming towards East Brainerd at about 11:24, Drake Forest at 11:26, and McDonald at 11:39. If we don't see a tornado out of this, certainly there's just a very serious damaging wind threat in all those areas. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at some of these velocities there. That is just west of 75. Now, this is off the ground a little bit, so this is not exactly what's happening at the ground, but just a few thousand feet up, you've got winds of 79 miles per hour outbound. And so, again, that's the kind of wind that we're seeing aloft, and it doesn't take a whole lot to bring that down to the ground. So that's what we're going to be facing here. That is now coming into Chattanooga, and we'll continue off to the northeast. Let's take a broader look here and just track this entire area out, because a lot of folks are going to be in for some really strong wind. I'm going to do that one more time. We just got a brand new scan there, so I'm going to update that. And boy, look at that leading surge right in there. So this coming up to the northeast, moving towards Harrison and Ooltewah and Snow City as Snow Hill as well. I'm going to go back one more time so we can get another better look at that. And right in there, look at that surge. I mean, that is a tremendous surge of wind. That's what we were just looking at moments ago in Rossville. You're still seeing it there. It's still going. It's not quite as strong right now as it was, but that is what has come through. And again, as we look at the velocity data, with these storms, look at that. That's an 85 mile per hour wind that's just several thousand feet off the ground. And so, you've got tremendous velocity that can be brought down to the ground. So, in addition to this tornado threat, you've got a very serious damaging wind threat that is now coming through, and that's going to be coming into Drake Forest as well as East Brainerd, but it's really at the apex of that right in there. That area right there is where you've got the maximum damaging wind threat, and that is now coming towards East Brainerd. So heads up there. Brand new scan has just come in. Let's take a look at that. And that is actually starting to really curl up now even a little bit more. So this is looking a little bit more like a possible tornado. So you've got winds that are surging forward just like this, and then you've got inflow right in there. That is a circulation that's developing right there. So possible tornado now near East Brainerd. I'm going to look and see if there's any evidence of debris. No debris at this time, but that is actually a pretty tight circulation, and that could very well be a tornado developing right now. So that coming up just north of East Brainerd. It's going to be on top of you in Drake Forest in very short order, then coming towards Ooltewah and towards Mineral Park after that. So a possible tornado developing now southeast Tennessee and not very far away from Chattanooga. Let's expand a little farther south And I want you to notice that there is not yet a tornado watch in Atlanta, but it's coming. There will be a tornado watch in the Atlanta metro later tonight as all this weather is going to be coming in. We've got, again, just such an energetic atmosphere, and we don't believe that things are going to be settling down tonight. Closer look at what's going on in southern Alabama. Got a severe warning for Butler and Monroe and Wilcox County until 11 p.m. Then to the north of that, another severe warning in Dallas County. So this is now coming into Selma and not very far away from Montgomery. Heads up there in Montgomery as you could be in for some pretty rough stuff later tonight. So a really strong parent system, as I mentioned, and we've also got plenty of instability. This in red color here is indicating the fuel for these thunderstorms. There's no shortage of that. There's going to be plenty of that, and even where you're not seeing as much of it in South Carolina and parts of North Carolina, it's going to be lifting up through the night tonight. So by the time we get into tomorrow morning, there's going to be a very serious, severe threat extending all across the Carolinas. So this line of storms on the way for the Atlanta metro, and 1 to 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning, very strong storms coming through. We'll have more on this coming up.
Whoa, back check.
Get the flavors they want and the goodness you'll love. Together with Sunmade.
Go, you're gonna be late. Mom, bag check.
Sunmade, raisins, yogurt-covered, and sour fruit snacks made delicious with whole fruit.
I'm gonna turn pop, techno, funk, and country into rock zombies.
Rock and roll!
Happy birthday!
If we don't stop her, who will?
We need to go undercover.
Hey, only rock trolls are allowed here. Cool. Trolls World Tour. Rated PG.
Who wants to party? Without smiling.
Watch now on the Apple TV app. Is that net carbs or total? Not enough fiber. Chocolate would be good.
Snacking should be sweet and simple. The delicious taste of Glucerna gives you the sweetness you crave while helping you manage your blood sugar. Glucerna, everyday progress.
Most jeans are made for average bodies, but there's no such thing as an average person. M. Taylor takes 7 measurements right on your phone for perfectly fitted custom jeans, and getting measured only takes 15 seconds. M. Taylor's machine learning technology guarantees a fit 20% better than a tailor, all without leaving your home. With the M. Taylor app, you'll never need to go to a store or find parking at a mall. And if you don't like your jeans for any reason, shipping and returns are always free. Download M. Taylor for iOS or Android. How easy is it to get measured? Just put your phone on the ground, take a few steps back, and do a full turn. That's all it takes to get digitally measured for custom clothes made just for you. Download M. Taylor on iOS or Android now. M. Taylor lets you customize every aspect of your wardrobe. Get shirts, suits, jeans, chinos, and more. Pick your collar, button, fabric, and thread color. Even get personalized monograms. Get M. Taylor today for iOS or Android.
You wouldn't accept an incomplete job from anyone else, so why accept it from your allergy pills? Flonase relieves your worst symptoms, which most pills don't. Get all-in-one allergy relief for 24 hours with Flonase.
When we founded Tommy John, Tom was obsessed with how to make underwear truly comfortable.
So we reimagined comfort through fabric, fit, and function.
We use soft, breathable, lightweight fabric with stay-put waistbands that never dig and stretch where you need it. We made a women's line so comfortable, there are no visible panty lines and no wedgies, guaranteed.
For a limited time, go to TommyJohn.com right now to get 25% off site-wide. Plus, we'll ship it to your door for free. That's TommyJohn.com. Log on now.
A migraine hope from Aimovig to show up for the sweet, the hectic, the tender, the tense, the frustrating, and the fiery. But for many, migraine keeps them from saying, I am here. We aim to change that with Aimovig, a preventive treatment for migraine in adults. 1 dose once a month is proven to reduce monthly migraine days, for some by half or more. Don't take Aimovig if you're allergic to it. Allergic reactions like rash or swelling can happen hours to days after use. Severe constipation can happen, sometimes with serious complications. Common side effects include injection site reactions and constipation. It doesn't matter what each day brings, so long as you can say, I am here. Aim to be there more. Talk to your doctor about Aimovig.
Oh, really? We have new video showing that massive and deadly tornado that hit Laurel, Mississippi just earlier today. Look at this. Look at that monstrosity out in the distance. Unfortunately, the storm, this killed 7 people across the southern tier of Mississippi and also caused major damage. We've been showing you some of the video of the damages from this tornado from several of our storm trackers throughout the night. People are still picking up the debris, but look at that. You can hear the wind. You can hear the sirens going. You definitely need to make sure you have a way to get those alerts. This line of storms continues to work its way east. And Carl, I hear you have a tornado emergency now for parts of Tennessee. Let's send it out to you.
Yeah, that's right. We're looking at a very dangerous storm now just north of the Georgia-Tennessee line and southeast of Chattanooga. Let's take a look at the latest on this storm. And a couple of tornado warnings in effect here. One for Hamilton County. This is coming towards Ooltewah right now. Another warning also to the east of that. That includes Cleveland, and that is Bradley and Polk counties. We're seeing very strong rotation showing up here in the velocity data. And look at this debris signature, a very well-defined debris signature now just west of Ooltewah. And so you can see how this has popped up in just the last couple of frames, and that appears to be coming right towards Ooltewah. So please, folks, if you're in Ooltewah, it is time to get to your safe place right now, as this is now moving to the northeast, and that is going to be coming in just the next few minutes. Let me get another look at the just the motion on this, how fast it is coming through. And these storms have been moving generally very quickly. This is 45 miles per hour. So again, we'll go back to that. And that is not going to give you a lot of time. That is coming right up and along 75, moving towards Ooltewah, most likely in just a few minutes. So you've got just maybe 3 minutes in Ooltewah. Get to your safe place right now, lowest, most interior room, as many walls between you and the outside as is possible. If you've got a moment to grab a helmet, don't spend a lot of time, but if you have a moment to, that's a good idea too. Here we've got a brand new scan, and that is now just about on you in Ooltewah. So it is time right now. You do not have time to try to figure out what's going on. Please don't try to go outside and see what's happening here. You've got a large tornado, a very serious tornado now coming into Ooltewah. And again, this is a tornado emergency that has been issued for this area. That is a very well-developed debris signature. What this is showing us is the actual tornado. This is showing us where you've got debris that could be tree debris, but it could be structural debris as well. That area of blue there with a little bit of green, that is where the radar is picking that up, and that is now coming right into Ooltewah. And so you've got no time. You've got just a moment. There's a brand new scan there. Brand new scan, and not quite as profound in this brand new scan, but it's still there, and it's coming into Ooltewah right now. So hopefully everybody that is in Ooltewah has gotten to their safe place, because this thing is now moving in right now. Now, sometimes this can mean that the storm is getting a little bit weaker, but sometimes it does not mean that. Sometimes it just means that it's not picking up as much debris. Let's go back to the velocity data and see what that is showing us. Still a very well-developed circulation as you would expect here. And as I'm going to get a sense of the vector once again, and that looks to be just a little south of northeast. So that is also headed towards Cleveland as well, as that moves off to the northeast. But more immediately, coming towards McDonald and coming towards Black Fox. You're next in line here. Again, this is very rapidly moving northeast at 45 miles per hour, basically just southeast of the 75 corridor. And then if it's still going, it'll be coming towards Cleveland at about 11:46 or so, moving northeast at 45 miles per hour. But again, that area of green is debris that is now coming into Ooltewah. So I can only hope that everybody has gotten to their safe place there, as a tornado has now come in and will be coming up into McDonald and also into Black Fox here in just the next few minutes. It is now 3 minutes past the bottom of the hour, 3:25, 3:26. And so you got about 4 minutes before this comes into McDonald, and you've got now about 8 minutes before it comes into Black Fox. Not very much time at all. There's a new scan there. Let's see what we've got in the new scan. And so, the trend here is that we are seeing less debris. So, cautiously, I should say, that is encouraging. Let's hope that means that we're actually seeing a weakening storm here. You can't always count on that, but right in there we saw very clearly a profound debris signature, and right now it appears that there's not as much intensity to this storm, but again, you can't always count on that. Let's also look at the velocity data, and in the velocity data, it's very noisy, but still a strong circulation that is showing up, and it's going to be, again, just southeast of 75 and coming towards McDonald and Black Fox. We'll have more on this very dangerous storm coming up in just a few minutes.
Security! Security!
What's the problem, ma'am?
I have a serious issue with the candy that Easter Bunny gave my son.
Candy?
I told you, he bit me first! The kid bit me first! He just walked into my mouth!
My name is Daniel Garcia. I worked at my family's bakery. My life used to be pretty normal until I met Noah Hamilton.
My brother and the most famous woman in the world.
My life can get pretty crazy.
I think I could do a little crazy.
Phil Swift here for Flex Paste, the incredible rubberized paste. Right out of the tub, it clings to the surface, and it instantly fills gaps and holes.
Flex Paste dries to a strong, flexible rubber, perfect for sealing RVs and campers. Use it to help prevent flood damage, stop rodents from getting in your home, or even crafts and hobbies. Get Flex Paste and the Flex Seal family of products at FlexSealProducts.com.
Thank you for always being here. When dawn breaks a new day, when Mother Nature changes her mind, you're always here when others need a hand. On the farm, taking care of family, carrying this nation. And so we're here in over 1,800 communities with the feed and supplies you absolutely need. Always.
My psoriatic arthritis pain, I had enough. It's not getting in my way.
Joint pain, swelling, tenderness, much better.
My psoriasis, clearer. Cosentix works on all of this.
4 years and counting.
So watch out.
I got this.
Watch me.
Real people with active psoriatic arthritis are feeling real relief with Cosentix. Cosentix is a different kind of targeted biologic. It treats the multiple symptoms of psoriatic arthritis to help you look and feel better. It even helps stop further joint damage. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentix. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur. Tell your doctor about an infection or symptoms. If your inflammatory bowel disease symptoms develop or worsen, or if you've had a vaccine or plan to, serious allergic reactions may occur.
I just look and feel better.
I got real relief with Cosentix.
Watch me.
Feel real relief. Ask your rheumatologist about Cosentix.
Domino's has contactless delivery, so you can safely get pizza even while you stay indoors.
Just take those old records off the shelf. I sit and listen to them by myself. Today's music ain't got the same soul.
Next time you get 2 or more medium 2-topping pizzas for $5.99 each, choose contactless delivery from Domino's.
Welcome back. We've been following a tornado emergency in parts of Tennessee, not very far away from Chattanooga. Let's show you what's going on with this storm. This is now just north of the Georgia state line. Tornado emergency for Hamilton County, and then also an ongoing tornado warning for areas farther east, including Bradley and Polk counties. Now, as we look at the data here, it is cautiously encouraging, but we still do have a strong circulation showing up, and that is now coming towards Cleveland. So this is now moving to the northeast. We're going to be coming into McDonald in just the next few minutes, moving into Black Fox at 11:42. So again, a few minutes away there. It's actually should be just about on top of McDonald. Dockery at 11:44, and then Cleveland at 11:46. So in all of those areas, you've got to get to your safe place right now, as we've got a very serious storm coming your way. Now, I want to show you what's going on with the correlation coefficient. This is where we see debris, and we were looking at a monstrous debris signature this is just south of 75, and as you move out east along from Chattanooga towards Ooltewah. Just a monstrous debris signature indicating a very strong tornado. And right as it came into Ooltewah, we see that it started to fade there. So this is why I say I am cautiously optimistic that maybe we are seeing a weakening trend here. And indeed, as we look at the latest velocity data, we still certainly do see a rotation there, but it appears to be broadening out some. It's not as intense as it was moments ago. We can go back a few scans here and you can see right in there in particular, just west of Ooltewah, very strong, very tight circulation right in there. That's when that debris signature was maximizing. And you can compare the character of that to what is happening now. It's still rotating, but it's just broader. It's a broader circulation. And so it may be that we are seeing, at least for now, somewhat of a weakening trend. However, this is still a very dangerous storm. So again, I want you to be on your toes here and just get into your safe place right now. Don't take any chances with this, as this is now just west of Cleveland, coming towards Green Meadow, and it's going to be moving into Cleveland at 11:47. So you've got just about 7 minutes or so in Cleveland before this storm moves in. And we're going to continue to watch the radar trend very closely and keep a really sharp eye on this. We also, though, want to get a look at some of the other warnings that are ongoing in other areas. And here's Mark with more on that.
Yeah, Carl, I wish we could say that was just one storm to follow and then we could just give all our attention to that, especially when it is such a potentially dangerous storm. But there are several other areas that we are monitoring right now. So let's bring you up to speed on those as well. We can start off by looking into southern portions of Alabama. Big cluster of storms here, pooling some of its cold air. And so we're seeing a lot of this push forward, very strong winds pointed right at Montgomery, the south side of Montgomery, under a severe thunderstorm warning. That said, look at some of the development out ahead of that push, out ahead of the line of storms. There is still a lot of spin in the environment, and any of these could start to get a surface connection sooner rather than later and wind up giving you a tornado warning. So gotta watch that area very carefully. We do have tornado warnings, however, as we look towards northern portions of Alabama and just crossing over into Georgia. This includes the DeKalb area of Alabama until 10:45, and then we can watch a little bit farther east from there as we get towards the Georgia border, and then the newest in Chattooga County as well as Floyd, that includes Somerville. We're watching the same surge forward, that same rotation. So that's just crossing over the border, and so you're seeing that Chattooga and Floyd goes until 12:15. As for the rotation within this zone, this is the problem. Look at how we've had that surge forward in here, but there's still at least some indication of at least some broad rotation within that surge forward. And this is some really strong wind. That blue color is indicating 70-mile-per-hour wind potential. Even if it's not rotating, that is just as strong as an EF0 tornado. So we are talking about that potential for some damage to come in towards that kind of Alabama-Georgia border zone just south of Menlo. No clear sign of debris being lofted into the air. What you're seeing on this, that's going down the radar beam, and there's likely some hail back here that is then blocking that beam the rest of the way. And so that small hail is actually messing with the view to see if there's any debris, but the good news is that there's not a clear sign of large debris being lofted into the air. At least not yet. It doesn't mean that there won't be a tornado with this. We have to carefully watch this as it continues to progress off towards the east. That does include the Menlo area by about next 5-10 minutes. Lyerly next in line from there, then Somerville by about 11:55 or so 15 minutes, and then getting towards East Tryon just before midnight. And again, that whole zone is included in the tornado warning that was just issued by the Peachtree City office on the Georgia side. That goes until 12:15. This whole clustering of storms has given us very heavy rainfall rates. There's actually been some reports of water rescues. There was reports of water covering the roads in the Tuscaloosa area. You're getting at least a brief reprise from the worst of the rain. Still raining pretty good in Birmingham, although it's now worse on the east side of the area. That does not mean I would want to be traveling down I-20, Birmingham off towards Atlanta. You'd go right through that torrential rain, real low visibility, and overall just a terrible drive. where those storms have gone through, look at the power outages. Birmingham has now jumped up to that 30,000 customer, category, that orange color indicating at least 30,000 customers without power in the Birmingham area. And then Tuscaloosa and the counties just north of Birmingham, as well as northwest of Birmingham, in that 10 to 20,000 customers. Remember, a customer does not necessarily mean a person. There could be multiple people as one customer. Brand new tornado watch has just been issued, goes all the way through the rest of the night until 6 a.m. This is the one that you may have been waiting for in the Atlanta area, in Macon, in the Albany, Georgia area, back towards southeast Alabama and the Florida Panhandle. Tornado watch continues until 6 a.m. We're staying live with you through the night.
So sad, tears are in your eyes. Come on and talk to me now. Don't be ashamed to cry. Let me see you through.
Animals are abused every day, and they can't ask for help. They endure indescribable acts of violence, but they're without a voice. Without a voice to say they're frightened and in pain. They're alone, they're scared, and they need your help.
I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you. I'll stand by you.
Visit us at joinaspca.org or call this number now to join. Sign up for just 63 cents a day, and you'll help rescue animals who are suffering. Please make this the moment that you say, I won't stand by while they suffer. When you sign up with your monthly gift, you give them the shelter and the love they deserve. Do it in the next 10 minutes, and we'll send you the photo of an animal from our shelter and a free ASPCA t-shirt. If you've wondered if your support will make a difference, I can tell you, it will. And if you've ever thought about helping, this is the time.
I'll stand by you.
It's only 63 cents a day. Please go online or call before it's too late.
At times like these, connection has never been more important. For staying in touch with families, working and learning remotely, or being able to reach out and help others. Spectrum is helping in whatever ways we can, with public Wi-Fi that's open to all, internet access for kids who need it, and a network built to handle anything, even a time like this. So you can count on us to keep you connected when it matters most.
The generation that stormed the beaches, the generation that marched for all our rights, drilled under desks, and bled in the jungle. These generations that sacrificed so much are the most at risk right now. And they're asking you to sacrifice by staying home.
Your actions can either save or endanger a life.
Do your part. Wash, disinfect, and stay home.
drchipper.com. To get the most out of your mornings, you need to know what weather is heading your way. Wake up watching AMHQ. Weekday mornings on the Weather Channel.
A high wind warning is in effect. Currently in our area, 56 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Tonight, rain and wind, low 55. Rainfall near a ½ inch. Monday, windy with rain and possibly some thunder, high 63. Rainfall possibly over 1 inch. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Welcome back to our continuing coverage of severe weather. It's an active night across the south. I'm meteorologist Mark Elliott. You'll also hear from Liana Brackett as well as storm specialist Carl Parker tonight. We're following these storms that have already been really dangerous. We've had fatalities, people killed by the storms today on this Easter Sunday. And we're not done yet. This is a look at the active watches across the south. The upper level feature and some very strong winds are punching their way into the Memphis area. New tornado watches have now been issued through much of the southeast. Atlanta all the way down through the western side of the Florida Panhandle. Goes until the morning, 7 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Central Time. Here's a look at that newest watch. Again, 6 a on the the Central Time side of things, 7 a.m. towards Atlanta, towards Macon, towards Albany. Now, I think this will start to get trimmed back from west to east. It won't be 7 a.m. until the storms get to you in Atlanta. But what this does tell you is that you have to have a way to get those warnings. You have to pay attention, have somebody that's staying up, have a way to be woken if there are storms coming your way. Tornado watch that has been issued through the rest of the overnight hours. And when you look at the coverage here, it points out that there are multiple threats that we're taking you through tonight. Not only are we looking at new tornado warnings popping up across southern Tennessee, we've got tornado warnings in Georgia, a whole smattering of severe thunderstorms, and then look at this corridor of really heavy rain. It's not advancing off towards the east that quickly. The storm motion is kind of off towards the northeast, not due east. And so it's going to take a while to clear you through. Flash flooding is then a high risk also. Newest of the tornado warnings here in southern Tennessee. We've been following this storm, and you can almost feel that big, swirl, that counterclockwise spin as the storm has gotten organized. Now, within that little comma head, we have a brand new area that looks to be much more organized with its circulation for Bradley and for Polk. And so here's a look at that circulation. Not necessarily the tightest couplet we've ever seen, but enough just east of Cleveland that rotation is trying to tighten up again. Big surge forward with that wind right in here. And that inflow air that I was showing you curls back around like this. And so where that air gets kind of dragged back into the storm and interacts with that surge forward, you wind up with that counterclockwise spin zone basically right in here where those winds interact. So that's the counterclockwise spin that they're looking at that could tighten up and give you a tornado. This storm has a history of doing that very thing, and we're starting to see that kind of, when you see the colors kind of switching like that, it indicates that the radar is having a real tough time even figuring out what the winds are doing. That shows you that that tightening up that is occurring in that area. So that's a storm that we're definitely following very carefully in southern portions of Tennessee. On the Georgia side of things, again, North Georgia has seen all the action well north of Atlanta, but now into Chattooga and Floyd. This is a storm that also came out of Alabama and still also has that curlicue, right? You can see that shape right in here. Well, this one on that leading edge of the surge forward, you've had these kind of mini kinks in that line with just enough rotation at times on that leading edge that there has been the need for these tornado warnings. I think the bigger threat here is the straight lined wind energy that is plowing on into places like Lyerly, like Somerville. Many of you are going to see strong winds with this. Not necessarily rotating winds, but strong enough to still have damage. 50, 60, even 70-mile-per-hour winds, not out of the question tonight. Here's a rough look at the timing. This might need to be updated and dragged on off towards the east just a little bit to give you a better idea of where those winds are going. Lyerly in about 5 minutes or so. Somerville just before the top of the hour, and then Crystal Springs next in line after that. Liana, a very active evening. We are not done as the low-level winds are still increasing, supporting these organized storms tonight.
Yeah, we've already had a history of all this damage of the tornadoes that worked their way through parts of Mississippi. Here's a live view of Laurel, Mississippi, where Charles Peak, our storm tracker, is taking this image right here. I mean, we're looking at a car of the fire rescue actually trying to make their way across the area. But I believe this is still the site where an elderly woman around 80 years old was unfortunately killed in the tornado. Her home completely demolished. You can still see all the debris strewn across the road out here. I mean, you can even see onto the side. Looks like some some kind of debris from a house and trees, power lines all down. Let's take a quick recap of this storm system that's worked its way through the south over the past several hours. As you take a look, I mean, this is a recap starting around 3 o'clock Central Time. Here's Laurel right smack dab right along I-59. We're going to be watching that mess work its way from west to east. Look at all of the tornado reports that popped up with that line. You can see this closest one right outside just to the west of the city. So this is just in a matter of about an hour or so, hour and a half, where we saw that whole line just stretch and work its way through the area. So over the past 24 hours, not only do we have those tornado reports, plenty of power outages, and they're still coming in as this whole line moves to the east. Watching what's happening right now, taking a zoomed out look at the entire region, notice as we put it into motion, watch this main line right here. This is where all those reports started to span up and spur up all across the region, and we're still seeing all those tornado reports coming in as we get into the overnight hours. Be prepared. This whole line has that history, so that's one thing that we're going to be keeping a close eye on. Take a look at the past 24 hours. Numerous wind reports, tornado warnings and watches reported, as well as hail, and unfortunately we're going to continue to see that tonight.
I'm Greg. I'm 68 years old. I do motivational speaking in addition to the substitute teaching. I honestly feel that that's my calling, to give back to younger people. I think most adults will start realizing that they don't recall things as quickly as they used to, or they don't remember things as vividly as they once did. I've been taking Prevagen for about 3 years now. People say to me periodically, man, you got a memory like an elephant. It's really, really helped me tremendously.
Prevagen, healthier brain, better life.
Needles, essential for the sea urchin, but maybe not for people with rheumatoid arthritis, because there are options, like an injection. Xeljanz XR, a once-daily pill for adults with moderate to severe RA for whom methotrexate did not work well enough. Xeljanz XR can reduce pain, swelling, and further joint damage, even without methotrexate. Xeljanz can lower your ability to fight infections like TB. Don't start Xeljanz if you have an infection. Taking a higher than recommended dose of Xeljanz for RA can increase risk of death. Serious, sometimes fatal infections, cancers, including lymphoma, and blood clots have happened, as have tears in the stomach or intestines, serious allergic reactions, and changes in lab results. Tell your doctor if you've been somewhere fungal infections are common, or if you've had TB, hepatitis B or C, or are prone to infections. Needles, fine for some. But for you, 1 pill a day may provide symptom relief. Ask your doctor about Xeljanz XR, an injection.
We're open and ready to help your small business any way we can. Every ink for small business. And of course, shipping. TheUPSStore.com.
It's a small finger, a worm.
Like a dagger?
Tiny sword.
Breadstick.
Matchstick.
A lamppost.
Coin slot. No.
10 seconds. A stick, a walking stick, a foundry, Mount Kilimanjaro, big
Sorry. It's a tandem bicycle.
What?
As long as sloths are slow, you can count on Geico saving folks money. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Shake it, kiddo. Love, comma, Dad.
Rice Krispies Treats. A little love when it's needed.
Unfortunately, a deadly and destructive Easter Sunday across parts of the South. Tornadoes across several states, including this one that ripped through parts of Alabama earlier today. We're now crossing into the Easter Monday, if you will, across the Eastern time zone. We're not there yet across the Central Time, but the threat is not done, Liana. We're watching a storm threat that continues through the rest of the overnight hours.
Yeah, we've already seen plenty of damage left behind. Take a look. This video from Mississippi, Bower, Mississippi. Homes destroyed from a tornado. And you can see people cleaning up earlier in the day, but unfortunately, we've already had 7 people killed in Mississippi so far due to this tornado threat that's continued all the way through tonight. We're going to be watching that as we get through the rest of tonight and into tomorrow morning. Let's get you updated now on what we know tonight. Nearly 470,000 people are without power across the South, and the result of deadly tornadoes and severe storms on this Easter Sunday. That's what we're experiencing right now. Tornadoes already blamed on the deaths of 7 people in Mississippi, and the governor of Mississippi issuing a state of emergency. All right, so we still are watching more and more warnings pop up. Let's go ahead and get to the latest with Carl Parker in the lab.
Yeah, you know, Liana, the really important thing about tonight that we want people to know is that this is not going to settle down overnight, as is often the case, because you've got such a strong parent system, a really energetic atmosphere, really strong wind fields, and in fact the low-level winds, which drives the damaging wind threat and also has something to do with the tornado threat. Those winds are actually going to be increasing over the next several hours here. So this threat is going to go right through the overnight and into tomorrow morning as well. And let's take a look at where some of the warnings are right now. We've been watching a really dangerous storm east of Chattanooga. Brand new tornado warning has been issued here, and that in effect for Bradley, McMinn, and Polk counties going until 12:30. We saw a little bit of a loosening of the circulation, but it is still now going strong. And right in here, this area of green and orange, that area right there is what we're watching that is now east of Cleveland and moving off to the northeast at 45 miles per hour. So that's going to be coming towards Claxton as well as Bellevue Estates, Etowah, and also Addison. In all of those areas, you've got a dangerous storm now off to your southwest and moving rapidly northeast, about 45 miles per hour. We did see debris with this earlier, a really profound debris signature, not very far away from Cleveland, just down 75 to the southwest. And so please do take this storm seriously. It looks like it's holding strong here, holding together as it continues off to the northeast. Got a brand new tornado warning issued on that storm. Let's take a look at the particulars on that. And now moving to the northeast at 50 miles per hour. And this is a very dangerous situation. So in all of these places, please get to your safe place right now, as you've got a storm rapidly moving in 50 miles per hour. And again, we have seen debris at times with this, and we're still seeing a very strong circulation. We're not actually seeing debris right now, but that does not mean that this is not serious. Again, you've got a well-developed circulation there that is now just south of Calhoun and moving towards the northeast and towards Etowah. So please do take this very seriously. Now, southwest of that, this is in northwestern Georgia, Chattooga County under warning until 12:15. Not seeing very much of a tornado threat here. There's a leading edge of some strong wind that's coming through right now. So primarily what we've got here is a damaging wind threat. That's not to say that it won't morph into something more than that, but at least for now, what we're looking at is a damaging wind threat coming up towards Suttles Mill and Mill Creek. Now, down into parts of South Alabama. Right now, at least for the time being, we've got primarily a damaging wind threat, but a very serious one. Watauga and Elmore counties under warning right now. That is also the case for areas south of Montgomery, Lowndes and Montgomery County under warning. And I want to show you some of the velocities that are showing up here. They're just about coming into Montgomery right now. This is actually not very far away from the radar. Sometimes when you're shooting up pretty high, you don't have as good of a sense of what kind of wind is coming in. But in this case, because we're so close to the radar, we can really say, yes, you're going to be getting some wind that is easily over 60 miles per hour. That is knocking on the door now in Montgomery. So heads up for some damaging wind coming through easily enough to bring down some tree limbs and some power lines. So, you know, a big part of what is driving this threat is, as I mentioned, the really strong wind fields, the low-level jet, as we call it. And these are winds over 60 miles per hour in blue at about a mile off the ground. And then you've got the surface winds as well coming out of the south. So we've got some turning of the winds, but also the winds getting much faster as you go up not very high into the atmosphere. And that does a couple of things. It creates some vorticity in the atmosphere. That helps to get the low-level part of the storm rotating. And that's a part of the development of a tornado. That's the early part of the process. And then also it just feeds very strong wind into these storms. And so you can also have just a lot of very strong straight line wind. So another part of this also is the instability. We've got more than enough of that. In red, you see the fuel for these thunderstorms. We've got plenty of that going forward. And again, as I mentioned, that's going to be the case right into tomorrow morning. So here's a model forecast along with that low-level jet. I want you to notice how this makes its way into Atlanta. So we're talking about around 1 to 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. These strong storms coming through with that really strong low-level jet. So at a minimum, we're going to be looking at a damaging wind threat, but perhaps a whole series of tornado warnings as well. So it's really, really important that if you're not going to stay up, that you've got some way to know what's going on. The best way to do that for most people is going to be to have your phone turned on, not on airplane mode. Make sure that you've got it in alert mode, and it will wake you up most likely as storms are coming through if you can't stay up. But we've got a really serious threat, as I mentioned, that'll go through the overnight and then start to come into the Carolinas into very early tomorrow morning and continue through a lot of eastern Georgia as well. Leon, over to you.
All right, well, let's take you live now to Atlanta, where you can see the rain is picking up, but we've also had some lightning strikes that, I mean, this is a lightning that's coming in ahead of that main line of storms. Right now, this is kind of the calm before the storm. We are still about 50, 75 miles away from the main event that's working its way eastward. All right, take a look at the radar at the moment. We do have Atlanta, some light rain picking up ahead of that main push. Plenty of warnings and lightning, but we're even looking at, even in this lighter rain, we're still looking at some lingering lightning bolts that are popping up. So again, never go outside when you have lightning in the area and those rumbles of thunder are really picking up. We also have some wind conditions that are picking up. This is a severe thunderstorm warning, actually a little bit farther west of here. This is just north of Carrollton. We have that severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 1 a.m. Eastern time, 60+ mile-per-hour winds, plenty of lightning. We also have to be careful about the threat for flash flooding. We've already had issues just across northern Georgia with swift water rescues happening, as well as homes being flooded in some parts, even into parts of Alabama. So if we time out the threats, it's really going to be the overnight hours. So we're talking about through about 3, 4, 5 a.m. tomorrow morning, where this whole line is going to be working its way into Atlanta. Kennesaw around 1 a.m., Villarica at 1 a.m. as well. Atlanta still looking at that slow motion pushing through about 2, 3 a.m. Again, even ahead of that main line, you need to make sure you have that safe zone to get to very fast. We're still looking at impacts over towards you in Athens as we get into closer to 4 or 5 a.m. And then behind it, we could have some sporadic showers still lingering even behind this. I mean, it's already working its way through the area. Parts of I-20 will be impacted, as well as parts of 285. And of course, as we even get even farther east, this threat will start threatening parts of the Carolina coast, as well as other locations, even the Florida Panhandle. We have to be concerned with that as well. So I mentioned one of the threats, the flood threat, Mark, and you're going to be covering that. And we have that threat lingering all the way into tomorrow morning as well.
Yeah, while it takes so long to get these storms through some of these cities, does not mean that you'll have no precip until the threat goes through. You're going to have hours of very heavy rain with the embedded severe weather. So that also really increases the flood threat potential. Tonight, when you have that yellow color on a map and an overnight, that is a bad setup. It means it is a likelihood that we will have some flash flooding. Plus, it's dark out, so you won't be able to see how much water is on top of those roads. And then you add the severe weather component as well. The bottom line is that we want you in your safe spot, monitoring the weather and staying there through the night. Do not be out and about unless you absolutely have to be. That's a little bit easier now that we have basically shelter-in-place notices through most of the nation at this point. So let's hope that you're in a safe spot and you stay there through the night. What this doesn't talk about is what you do when you have both flash flood warnings and tornado warnings at the same time, because some of you have seen that already today. When that happens, you have to go to the lowest dry level that you have. We never want you going down into a basement that also has water in it. So keep that in mind. If you have tornadoes coming your way and there's already flooding in your area, the lowest dry level is the one you should be in. Flash flood watch is already issued. Now, we can start kind of sort of cutting back this area off towards the west. That back edge has come through places like Memphis. You're not going to see too much more rain. So if you haven't seen flooding already, chances are you won't. But we're just beginning across portions of northern Alabama, northern Georgia, eastern Tennessee, western North Carolina. That flood threat is really just starting. So we've got this conveyor belt, all this rain. Yes, that is where we have the severe weather built in. It's hard to think about flash flooding as being, as problematic as the tornado warnings. They're on different scales, but we lose more people to flooding on any given year than we do to tornadoes. There are some exceptions to that rule, of course, in huge tornado outbreaks, but don't discount the flood threat tonight. What you're looking at here are the flood advisories as well as the flash flood warnings, and you can really feel where that corridor was earlier tonight. That line that I drew and then areas just north and west from there had all kinds of rain, significant rainfall rates, 1 to 2 inch per hour type rainfall rates. Now that line has bent just a little bit and it's more like this, and so it's moving on. So that's the good news. The bad news is that it's going into new communities that haven't seen the rain yet. And so you're not, thinking about that flash flood component. Atlanta, we're hearing rumbles of thunder here in the studio. This is just starting for you. You have hours to go before that threat is all the way through, both with the severe weather component, the embedded tornadoes, the wind, and with a potential flood threat. Let's zoom in here towards the Birmingham area, still under a flash flood warning until 1:30. Mostly just residual rains. It takes a bit to let that rain leave an area after the water comes up as high as it did, especially in those paved over areas. The underpasses hold that water just a little bit longer. You look at how much rain fell in the past 6 hours, and when you see these kind of yellow or even orange colors, that's in that 3 to 5 to 8 range. So that's a significant amount of rain in a 6-hour time frame. That's, again, 1 inch per hour rainfall rate for a significant portion of the time. And when you look at the storm reports within here, all these, the icons that you're seeing, those are different reports that have come into the National Weather Service about water issues, whether they're like over the road, like along Highway 160, several inches of water on the road, or if they were to, say, approach people's homes in Dalton, several reports of flooded roadways in the city of Dalton, Georgia. Keep in mind, there have been severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings after that flood report came in. So again, we're looking at all the modes of severe weather tonight, including that flash flood threat. There are indeed overlapping tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings, and flash flood warnings in that southern Tennessee to North Georgia corridor. And we're just now getting into the rest of that line, which is pointed at the rest of the I-20 corridor, the I-85 and I-75 corridor. Atlanta, get ready. This stuff is headed towards you. Montgomery, it's in the city right now with regards to the heaviest rain, the flood potential, and the wind. That's where you're seeing severe thunderstorm warnings. And so this whole area has all the threats of severe weather. And that's why we are here with you right on through the night to monitor everything that is going on. Liana, this is a threat that's not only happening tonight, but we're going to watch this continue through the overnight into early tomorrow. And people don't usually associate the morning with severe weather, including tornadoes, but we could have that tomorrow.
Exactly. I mean, we have torcons in place covering the Carolina coastline even, and it's going to be the wee hours of tomorrow morning. Well, this morning, really, especially if you're in the East Coast. It's already midnight right now, so we're talking about 3, 4, 5 a.m. time period. Take a look tomorrow, Raleigh, North Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, Savannah, Georgia, all at torcons of 5. Not as high as the 7 that we've been experiencing overnight tonight just to the west of here, but still pretty darn high as well. That's going to be impacting a good chunk of the coast, even getting up to Richmond as well. But we do have torcons of 3 clipping parts of the northern tip of the Florida Panhandle, and 2s in those yellow zones right here. So Tallahassee, you're in that torcon of 3 danger zone. So not only are we concerned with the threat for tornadoes, it's also the threat for damaging winds, lightning, and flash flooding. That severe threat continues through tomorrow morning, actually over the next several hours, really, into early Monday morning. So this is about now. We're watching that line work its way through North Georgia, still working its way through southern Alabama, clipping the Florida Panhandle. This is about 4, 5, 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. The good news is not many people will likely be on the roads for Monday morning. Everyone's sheltering in place due to social distancing and the pandemic. But hey, I mean, that could actually potentially even save lives because so many people will be at home and not out and about traveling. This is about 8 a.m. where it's rumbling through Savannah, Tallahassee. So really through about midday, that's where we're still watching this dangerous threat, reaching the coast up towards Richmond by about 10, 11, around your lunchtime. And then it's early afternoon hours where we're all behind it and it's heading even farther east. Tomorrow, though, the threat for damaging winds is definitely there. We're talking about 60+ mile-per-hour winds possible and likely everywhere in the dark blue. Savannah, Raleigh, Wilmington, getting clipped for you, Columbia and Richmond. Baltimore, you have that possibility as well as you in Tallahassee. And Mark was talking about the threat for flash flooding. We still have that threat lingering into the morning hours of Monday as well. For tomorrow morning through Tuesday morning, we're looking at now this threat pushing a little bit farther north. Now we're in New England and parts of the mid-Atlantic, New York, Hartford, Boston. Heads up for you.
Hey, can I go?
Hold on 1 second.
Sure.
Okay. Safe driver, save 40%. Guys.
Check it out. Safe driver, save 40%.
Safe driver, save 40%.
Safe driver, save 40%.
That's safe driver, save 40%.
It is. That's safe driver, save 40%.
It's right there.
It's him. He's here.
He's right here. Hi.
Hi.
Hey. That's totally him.
That's him.
That's totally the guy.
Safe drivers do save 40%. Click or call for a quote today.
You may not see them, but your itchy eyes know they're out there. Thousands of allergens in each cubic yard of air. No wonder you rub your eyes hundreds of times a day. But now, relief is just one drop away. Introducing Pataday. Full prescription strength Pataday works right in your eyes, right on the cells that make them itch. Fast, just one drop once a day means relief that lasts all day. So turn your day into a Pataday. Now get Pataday without a prescription. Everywhere.
Hey, Boston. Hey, Atlanta. Hola, Miami. Hi, New York. Hey, LA. Chicago. Hey, America.
Trust me, you're gonna love this. Come on.
2 tablespoons of sugar.
But kind of near average on.
This is the place to be.
Something for everyone. Local now. Download for free in your favorite app store.
Boss, whoa, back check.
Get the flavors they want and the goodness you'll love. Together with Sunmade.
Go, you're gonna be late. Mom, bag check.
Sunmade. Raisins, yogurt-covered, and sour fruit snacks. Made delicious with whole fruit.
It's never been more important to protect ourselves from germs. Washing your hands often and disinfecting surfaces are crucial. And not just in the home. You know WeatherTech products have always protected your vehicle, but they'll also protect you. WeatherTech features non-porous surfaces that can easily be wiped with germ-killing disinfectants. It's not so easy with carpet mats. And seat protectors are easily machine washable. Order at WeatherTech.com and stay safe.
Now at Domino's, we're more than just hand-tossed pizza for $7.99. We're $7.99 gluten-free crust, $7.99 handmade pan crust, $7.99 Brooklyn-style crust, and $7.99 crunchy thin crust, too. Carry out 3-topping pizzas on any of Domino's.
We New Yorkers have been through a lot. But in our darkest moments, we always find the light. We know what it means to look out for our neighbors, even if we've never even met them before. And with your strength and our more than 70,000 caring professionals, we'll heal once again, together, because that's just what New Yorkers do. Get the facts at northwell.edu/prepared and follow government guidance.
As chairman of our family-owned Cambridge Paving Stones, I welcome you all to the annual board meeting.
Really? Grandpa. Board meeting!
Wait till they learn it's not all fun and games, because we make Cambridge Paving Stones the hard way with ArmorTech, our unique process that produces a rich color that looks beautiful for years to come.
I'm the chairman of the board!
Paving stones with ArmorTech. They'll always look like new.
2607.
Wreck your Monday night.
Oh
boy.
With all new episodes of Highway Through Hell at 8 and Heavy Rescue at 9. Monday night on the Weather Channel.
A high wind warning is in effect. Currently in our area, 56 degrees under cloudy skies. Overnight, cloudy and windy with periods of rain. Low 54. Rainfall around a ½ inch. Monday, windy with thunderstorms. High 62. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Welcome back to our ongoing coverage of severe weather. It's been a really active night. We've gotten a lot of reports of tornadoes and significant damage from some of these tornadoes, especially earlier this evening and in the afternoon. And right now, there is still one tornado warning to tell you about. We are seeing a little bit of a lull in terms of tornado warnings. Many severe thunderstorm warnings, though. And there's a really significant damaging wind threat. Both of those threats will continue right through the overnight, right into tomorrow morning as well. Let's take you up into southeastern Tennessee and show you the latest on this tornado warning. That is McMinn County under warning right now. We've been watching the storm that had a really well-defined debris signature on it southwest of Cleveland as it was just south of I-75. Right now seeing a sort of a broader area of shear there, so it does not appear to be as concentrated as it once was coming up towards Etowah. Let's just go ahead and time it out to be on the safe side, but it does appear to be a little bit less threatening relative to what we were watching earlier, that coming towards Etowah and Arden and also into Madisonville. Then to the south of that, we're starting to see storms lean over into northwest Georgia and just starting to get into the Atlanta metro. That is Bartow and Floyd and Polk counties under warning until 1 a.m. A very fast motion on these cells. They are generally moving at about 50 to 55 miles per hour. In this case, yes, 55 miles per hour. So I'm going to time this out for you so you can get a sense of when this is going to come in. And, right now you've got a line of storms, and primarily along with that line, what we're looking at is a damaging wind threat, but we certainly could be looking at some circulations developing within the line, some supercells developing within the line, and that could bring us a tornado threat as well. We entirely do expect to see tornado warnings through the Atlanta metro overnight tonight. So these storms coming into Cedartown more immediately, then coming up towards Cartersville about 1 o'clock in the morning, Canton at about 1:14. You see the far edge of that track there around 1:14, also around the time when it's going to be coming into Marietta as well. So, at a minimum, we're likely going to be looking at a damaging wind threat, a lot of very heavy rain, quite a bit of lightning. Here, by the way, is a brand new scan. I'm going to do this one more time and actually widen it out a little bit to give you a better sense of how this is going to come in. And at a minimum, as I mentioned, damaging wind, a lot of lightning, some very heavy rain. We could be talking about a flash flood threat. But on top of that, there could also be a tornado threat coming into this area. So Ackworth about 1 o'clock in the morning, Marietta at about 1:17 or so as all of this moves in. And we certainly do want you to be on your toes as this overspreads the Atlanta metro. There is now a tornado watch in effect for Atlanta, as well as much of central Georgia, and that is going until 6 o'clock in the morning. It's going to take some time for the entire metro to see all these storms roll through. Now down into South Alabama, looking at some severe warnings here for 60-mile-per-hour wind down into the Montgomery area as well. Also, a brand new warning just south and east of that, and that is from Tallahassee down towards Union Springs, Bullock, and Macon and Montgomery counties under warning. We've been looking at some really amazing wind, and you know the thing about this is when you've got wind that's coming right towards the radar, down the radial as we say, and it's not far from the radar, and in this case it is not far at all from the radar. It's probably just a matter of tens of miles from the radar. There's the radar site right there, and there you go, 15 miles away from the radar. You've got a really good sense, you've got a really good look at how much wind is coming in, and that's 72 mile per hour winds. So get ready for a vicious storm to come in here, and that's going to be moving towards Tallahassee and also towards Shorter as well, moving into Tysonville more immediately, and Shorter at about 11:30 or so. Very serious damaging wind threat as that comes through. So again, as I mentioned, it's going to be a long night tonight. Let's get more on the tracking from Mark now.
Yeah, you know, Carl, you mentioned that wind is a big part of the story. We may be seeing some of the tornado threat, you know, as it goes through its ebbs and flows. Hopefully this is a lasting downturn as we don't have any active tornado warnings at the moment, but we've got all kinds of severe thunderstorm warnings for very strong winds. That includes the Atlanta area. You're looking live here at Atlanta, and we are going to continue to see a very robust pattern, a favorable pattern for very strong straight line winds. More than enough wind to bring down trees. All the trees across the south have opened up. All those leaves act like little parachutes and catch the wind. But maybe more importantly, most of those trees, most might be an overstatement, but many of the trees also still have their flowers on, so they're weighted down, right? There's lots of weight on that top side of the lever that the tree becomes. I expect a lot of tree damage as we go through the rest of the night, not only in Atlanta, but through much of central and southeastern portions of Alabama into central and southern Georgia, where these big clusters of thunderstorms move into. They're going to be bringing those very strong winds with them. We've already seen some significant reports of wind already today from East Texas into much of Arkansas. The new query on this, 175 different reports of wind damage through today. And I think this number is going to increase. This doesn't have anything yet in that corridor that's still raining and thunderstorming now, that Atlanta to Montgomery corridor. What you saw back in this area from, you know, Huntsville and Birmingham back towards that Mississippi border, that's going to shift into the area where the slow-moving thunderstorms are right now. Here's a look at some of those current wind gusts, and we're still in the southerly flow. You look at Atlanta, your temperatures have climbed into the 70s. You were stuck in the low 60s with rain all day. Now it's sultry out there as these storms are arriving, with winds gusting over 30. Same with Macon. So that's what these storms are tapping into, and it's why we have widespread wind advisories in the south and even some high wind warnings to the north.
At Papa John's, we want you to know that from our 450-degree oven to box to you, it's our policy that your pizza is never touched once it comes out of the oven. And we're taking extra steps like no-contact delivery to ensure it.
Boss, whoa, back check. Get the flavors they want and the goodness you'll love. Together with Sunmade.
Go, you're gonna be late. Mom, bag check.
Sunmade, raisins, yogurt-covered, and sour fruit snacks made delicious with whole fruit.
A migraine hope from Aimovig to show up for the sweet, the hectic, the tender, the tense, the frustrating, and the fiery. But for many, migraine keeps them from saying, I am here. We aim to change that with Aimovig, a preventive treatment for migraine in adults. One dose once a month is proven to reduce monthly migraine days, for some by half or more. Don't take Aimovig if you're allergic to it. Allergic reactions like rash or swelling can happen hours to days after use. Severe constipation can happen, sometimes with serious complications. Common side effects include injection site reactions and constipation. It doesn't matter what each day brings, so long as you can say, I am here. Aim to be there more. Talk to your doctor about Aimovig.
Thank you for always being here. When dawn breaks a new day, when Mother Nature changes her mind, you're always here when others need a hand. On the farm, taking care of family, carrying this nation, And so we're here in over 1,800 communities with the feed and supplies you absolutely need. Always.
Needles, essential for the sea urchin, but maybe not for people with rheumatoid arthritis, because there are options, like an injection. Xeljanz XR, a once-daily pill for adults with moderate to severe RA for whom methotrexate did not work well enough. Xeljanz XR can reduce pain, swelling, and further joint damage, even without methotrexate. Xeljanz can lower your ability to fight infections like TB. Don't start Xeljanz if you have an infection. Taking a higher than recommended dose of Xeljanz for RA can increase risk of death. Serious, sometimes fatal infections, cancers, including lymphoma, and blood clots have happened, as have tears in the stomach or intestines, serious allergic reactions, and changes in lab results. Tell your doctor if you've been somewhere fungal infections are common, or if you've had TB, hepatitis B or C, or are prone to infections. Needles, fine for some. But for you, one pill a day may provide symptom relief. Ask your doctor about Xeljanz XR, an injection.
We're open and ready to help your small business any way we can. Every ink for small business. And of course, shipping. TheUPSStore.com.
It's a challenging market. Edward Jones is well aware of that, which is why we're ready to listen and ready to help you find opportunity.
So, let's talk.
Edward Jones, it's time for investing to feel individual.
Welcome back to our ongoing coverage of severe weather. We are seeing a relative lull right now, at least in terms of tornado warnings. Still a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings out there and a lot of potential for very strong straight line wind. And by no means is the tornado threat over. In fact, there is a new tornado watch that has been issued for the entire central and northern part of state of Georgia, including Atlanta. That is going until 6 o'clock in the morning. This tornado threat and damaging wind threat will continue through the overnight, even into tomorrow morning. But at least for now, we've got, as I mentioned, a relative lull in the tornado concern. And let's take a look at where some of these severe thunderstorm warnings are. We're starting to see that coming into the Atlanta metro. There's a severe warning in effect for Cherokee and Cleburne in eastern parts of Alabama, but then also into Bartow and Floyd and Polk counties going until 1 o'clock in the morning. And with this warning, we've got potential for some 60-mile-per-hour wind. I want you to also notice, look at the structure here. So you see a mostly linear system here. And so when you've got a linear convective system, you've got a damaging wind threat. But then right in there, there's a little curlicue on the north end of that. So that's precisely what we expect to see coming across the Atlanta metro tonight. These storms that are mostly linear, but then some of them are supercells. They've got some rotating segments in them. And as that happens, there could very well be tornado warnings across the Atlanta metro tonight. And as I mentioned, these are moving very quickly, about 55 miles per hour in this case. So timing this out as we look at the worst part of that storm, as that continues off to the northeast, that'll be coming into Cartersville near the top of the hour, 1:15 getting into Canton, and about 1:21 coming into Marietta. So as that happens, at a minimum, we're going to be looking at a damaging wind threat. We're going to be looking at some very heavy rain, but possibly some embedded circulations within this as well. There certainly could be some tornado warnings across the region. And as I mentioned, tornado watch for the Atlanta metro going until 6 o'clock in the morning. Mark?
Yeah, Carl, already a very dangerous day. Throughout the afternoon and early evening, we had several storms that came through Mississippi with tornadoes. I want to show you a quick radar recap. Look at these two supercells that came through, one right on the heels of the other along the path. All those red symbols you're seeing are reports of tornadoes. Now, again, these kind of overlap each other, so at some point it's hard to tell which one produced which. But again, two different tornado producing supercells that worked their way through the area, including near Laurel, Mississippi. Both of these right about that 4 to 5 o'clock time frame with a very clear signature on the radar, a very wrapped up classic view of that signature using the Doppler radar system. And unfortunately, this did result in tornadoes and in damage. We want to get an update now from Dana Baumgartner, PIO with Jackson County there in Mississippi. Jones County there in Mississippi. Dana, thanks for talking with us again.
Yes, thank you for having me.
A very difficult night. We heard from you earlier today. What have you learned over the past couple of hours as you went through the town? How is the town doing? What new information do you have now?
We've just passed through Soso, Mississippi, and Soso got hit very, very hard. The fire department there is essentially demolished. Several businesses there are pretty much gone or severely damaged. As of right now, we had 2 fire districts that were impacted, and in one district, we had about 40 calls come in just in one district. So we're anticipating a number of calls for help to be somewhere around 50, but we'll have confirmation of that later. Several miles worth of damage that really mainly got homes, but there, like I said, were a couple of businesses in Soso that got damaged heavily.
And with, so many people at home because of the holidays and because of the pandemic going on, what are the stats on injuries or deaths in your area?
We had multiple calls for emergency medical assistance. We do have 1 confirmed fatality. We do have 1 individual who's missing. And outside of that, just lots of injuries. People were trapped and thrown from their home or wherever they were at in the path of this storm, in the path of this tornado. So it's been a lot of injury and at least 1 fatality.
Well, let's hope that number stays at 1 and that the injuries are not too bad. That is Dana Baumgartner with Jones County, Mississippi. Includes the town of Laurel and the Soso area as well. Take it easy tonight. I know it's going to be a tough one, and we're all staying with you. We're here through the night to make sure you stay ahead of any new storms that are coming your way throughout the South. Tornado watches continue until the morning.
Service isn't just a department. It's a voice on the other end of the phone.
A note to say you're on our mind. A willingness to come to you.
The world and how we interact with each other is changing, but that will never change who we are at Lexus.
Now, more than ever, you and your needs come first.
Find out what service options are available in your area at lexus.com/people first.
Goodbye, Fred.
Goodbye, Fred.
What if you get hungry?
Kohler Revolution 360 with continuous clean. Stays clean 5 times longer.
It's okay, Dad.
Only from Kohler.
I've never had Burger King nuggets before. It's a lot better than I expected.
And the best part is, they're 8 for only $1.
What? These are good. It's crispy and it's golden. When you see an ad like that, you don't expect them to taste this good.
Yup, 8 delicious nuggets for just $1. Your way, way better.
Hold my pouch.
Trust us. Us kids are ready to take things into our own hands. Don't think so? Hold my pouch.
The ups and downs of frequent mood swings can plunge you into deep depressive lows or give you unusually high energy, even when depressed. Overwhelmed by bipolar depression? Ask about Vraylar. Some medications only treat the lows or the highs. Vraylar effectively treats depressive, acute manic, and mixed episodes of bipolar 1. Full spectrum relief of all symptoms with just 1 pill once a day. Elderly patients with dementia-related psychosis have an increased risk of death or stroke. Call your doctor about unusual changes in behavior or suicidal thoughts. Antidepressants can increase these in children and young adults. Report fever, stiff muscles, or confusion, which may mean a life-threatening reaction, or uncontrollable muscle movements, which may be permanent. Side effects may not appear for several weeks. Metabolic changes may occur. Movement dysfunction, restlessness, sleepiness, stomach issues are common side effects. When bipolar depression overwhelms, ask how Vraylar can help.
I know people love the dish remote. It's great. So why build in the Google Assistant? I mean, who really needs a TV remote that can turn the thermostat up
change temperature to 72.
The lights down.
Dim the lights.
And still access their DVR.
Play Rio.
Actually, some people could absolutely use a remote like that. The new Dish voice remote. Dish, tuned in to you.
This right here is the new papadilla, which, if I'm not mistaken, is Latin for better than a sandwich. Even has a better pickle. Get a new papadilla for $6. Better ingredients, better pizza, better than a sandwich. Papa John's.
Welcome back as we continue our coverage here at the Weather Channel. Check this out from Morgan County, Alabama. Pouring rain, but maybe more importantly, look at the water crossing over the roadway there. Without the bright lights from the, it looks like a police cruiser here because we've got the blue and reds flashing and illuminating the raindrops. You wouldn't see that at all. My goodness, that is a lot of water. Flowing water is so powerful. It only takes about 6 inches of flowing water to knock a grown person off their feet, and 1 or 2 feet, depending on the vehicle, to float that vehicle away. Much lower than most people think would be required to float a vehicle away. And so keep that in mind tonight. The flood threat remains high, especially into North Georgia, where it's been raining just about all afternoon and evening, and there's now maybe, you could argue, the heaviest of the rain moving into North Georgia right now. Let's go back into the lab. I want to bring in storm specialist Carl Parker. Carl, in North Georgia, several severe thunderstorm warnings, maybe with some chance of rotation there as well.
Yeah, we are seeing a little bit of rotation showing up right now, but nothing that has warranted a tornado warning. We certainly could be looking at some tornado warnings across North Georgia and the Atlanta metro through tonight. At least for now, it is just severe thunderstorm warnings. And let's take a look at what's going on the radar picture. We'll take you first of all into areas of northwest Georgia near Rome, where there is now a severe thunderstorm warning in effect. Now, I want you to notice the shape of this line, this linear convective system. Mostly with a line of storms, you're going to have a damaging wind threat, but you do have this sort of a broad circulation showing up right in there. So that's the type of thing that we're going to be watching out for tonight. Some embedded supercells within these lines of storms as they come through. But one thing that is somewhat encouraging is that you've got a lot of rain out ahead of all of this, and so it is a little bit harder to get higher instability in a case like that. Your temperatures right now at about 70 in these areas where you've got all that rain coming through. If you'd had no rain and a line of storms coming through, well, then you'd be more concerned about the possibility of stronger updrafts and stronger storms. But with all this rain out here, that may help to mitigate things somewhat. Nonetheless, you've still got a very energetic system, a really strong parent storm, very strong wind fields, and so it's not going to take that much. We certainly could be looking at a serious damaging wind threat all across the metro, and in addition to that, there could be some spin-outs, some little kinks that develop within the lines here, and that can get just strong enough for a short period of time to bring us a tornado threat. So by no means do I want folks to let their guard down, just letting you know that as we're seeing all this rain, that is cautiously encouraging in terms of the level of threat that we're going to be looking at tonight. Now let's track this out and see how quickly this is going to be moving in. These storms have really been hightailing it. They've been moving at about 50, 55 miles per hour. So that takes the storms into Ackworth at about near the top of the hour, Canton at about 108, and then Marietta at about 121 or so, with at a minimum a damaging wind threat and probably a pretty serious damaging wind threat because there's so much wind in the atmosphere in general, because you've got such a strong parent storm with very strong wind fields, and so that is feeding wind energy into the backs of these storms. It can very easily transfer that down to the ground. So that's the least that we're going to be looking at as a damaging wind threat, and enough wind to bring down trees and power lines. It could very well be that a lot of folks actually lose their power tonight, and again, there could be some spin-ups that develop within this line as well. So certainly we want folks to be on their toes because it is such an energetic system, and there is a tornado watch going until 6 o'clock in the morning. It's going to take some time for this line of storms to come all across the metro in North Georgia. Farther south, looking at some severe thunderstorm warnings, now right along that 65 corridor. Warning now for Bullock and Macon and Montgomery County. Then another one off to the west of Columbus, that for Lee and Russell County. So a damaging wind threat in these areas. So what we've got here is our future radar along with those strong low-level winds that help to generate the damaging wind potential and begin the process of getting storms rotating to also help to contribute to that tornado potential. So we've still got these exceptionally strong low-level winds along with the line coming through. There you see that is about 2 o'clock in the morning Atlanta time. Here we go into 4 o'clock in the morning Atlanta time, and it's still starting to, it's moving just across the eastern part of the suburbs there, and then also coming into North Carolina as well. So we very well could be looking at warnings right into tomorrow morning in parts of the Carolinas and parts of South and East Georgia and also northern Florida. Really energetic storm, and it's going to be going strong all night long. Leon, over to you.
All right, thanks so much, Carl. And of course, that threat continues to extend in towards the Carolinas as we get into the next several hours. This is early Monday morning. We're talking torcons of 5 in place for Raleigh, North Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, and Savannah, Georgia. Now, that's not the highest as far as what we've been seeing over the past 24 hours, but it's still pretty darn high. It's not 0. That's what you need to take away. So there's that torcon of 5 hugging the coast, Richmond, Raleigh, Wilmington, down towards Savannah, all included in that. We also have torcons of 3 clipping parts of the Florida Panhandle, as well as up towards the mid-Atlantic. Baltimore, you're in that torcon of 3 and torcons of 2 just outside in those yellow zones, even clipping parts of central and northern Florida as well. So not only are we concerned with the possibility for tornadoes, it's also the damaging wind threat. We're talking 60+ mile-per-hour winds, plenty of lightning, and we can't rule out the chance for flash flooding. Likely in that red zone, but really it's going to be through about 6, 7, 8 a.m. that we're going to start seeing this threat reach you. So as we start the clock around now, 1 a.m. Eastern time, there's that line that's working its way through North Georgia. It continues to spread in towards the Carolinas as we get into 4, 5, 6 a.m. this morning. So this is Monday morning we're talking about. I think the saving grace in all of this is the fact that so many people will be home, sheltered in place. Not many people on the roads, and that's a good thing because this is going to be working through what would be prime commute times, 8 a.m. It's swinging through the Outer Banks through midday, right around your lunch hour, but by about 1, 2 p.m., that's when it's all said and done and is out over the ocean. So mariners, beware. Tomorrow, the damaging wind threat is expected to hug the coast, likely to see this zone of 60+ mile-per-hour winds. And of course, we also have the chance for severe thunderstorms possible. Once again, as we get into Tuesday, no torcons as of yet, but again, we're still in this very active period.
It's a challenging market. Edward Jones is well aware of that, which is why we're ready to listen and ready to help you find opportunity.
So let's talk.
Edward Jones, it's time for investing to feel individual.
Not even our competitor's best battery can match the power of Energizer, because Energizer Ultimate Lithium is the longest-lasting AA battery in the world. Energizer, backed by science, matched by no one.
Hey, can I go?
Hold on 1 second.
Sure.
Okay, safe driver, save 40%. Guys.
Check it out. Safe driver, save 40%.
Safe driver, save 40%.
Safe driver, save 40%.
That's Safe Driver Save 40%.
It is. That's Safe Driver Save 40%.
It's right there.
It's him. He's here.
He's right here.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey. That's totally him.
That's him.
That's totally the guy.
Safe drivers do save 40%. Click or call for a quote today.
Domino's has contactless delivery, so you can safely get pizza even while you stay indoors. Just take those old records off the shelf. I sit and listen to them by myself. Today's music ain't got the same soul. Next time you get 2 or more medium 2-topping pizzas for $5.99 each, choose contactless delivery from Domino's.
I'm gonna turn pop, techno, funk, and country into rock zombies. Rock and roll!
Happy birthday?
If we don't stop her, who will?
We need to go undercover.
Hey, only rock trolls are allowed here. Cool.
Trolls World Tour. Rated PG.
Who wants to party? Without smiling.
Available now with Spectrum On Demand.
Trolls World Tour is coming to your home.
Ow!
Now you can make movie night a world premiere. Boom.
Come on, just sing! I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. So who let the dogs out?
I knew it. Who let the dogs out? Too far.
Trolls World Tour.
Available all month long with Spectrum On Demand.
When their sensitive skin runs into messy stains, you can count on All Free Clear, the #1 doctor-recommended brand for sensitive skin. Tough on stains and 100% free of perfumes and dyes. Try All Free Clear, the #1 detergent brand for sensitive skin.
Some extra care can go a long way. Only Snuggle gives you the snuggly softness you love. And freshness that lasts up to 30 days. Because sometimes that special touch can make the biggest difference.
Let's snuggle.
Shipper.com. To get the most out of your mornings, you need to know what weather is heading your way. Wake up watching AMHQ. Weekday mornings on the Weather Channel.
A high wind warning is in effect. Currently in our area, 56 degrees under cloudy skies. Overnight, cloudy and windy with periods of rain. Low 54. Rainfall around a ½ inch. Monday, windy with thunderstorms. High 62. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Our coverage continues right here on the Weather Channel. We want to show you what happened earlier today in Laurel, Mississippi. Our storm tracker, Charles Peak, was kind of fighting his way through portions of Jones County there in Mississippi, along with the first responders. Roads were completely covered by tree debris, and they had to basically chainsaw their way in. Several homes, as you saw, demolished. Well-constructed home here, garage of some kind, that whole exterior wall leaning. And then look at this, roof gone, walls that have fallen, cinder blocks everywhere. This is structure after structure after structure with significant damage. Full construction, full, livability type damage. And then you've got the power lines down, huge trees slicing through the debris. So you have to wonder what was falling first. Was the house breaking? Was the tree coming down first? Who knows when you see a setup like this, especially in the dark. Real tough to get your bearings. And this is the kind of stuff that the National Weather Service will be out surveying to determine just how strong these storms were. Liana, pretty clear indicator by the technology, by the radar side of things, that these were tornadoes that came through, and probably two different ones that came through Jones County in Mississippi.
Yeah, we have so many impacts and threats as we continue through this evening and really into this morning. New video showing the other threat from all these storms, flooding. This is new video into us from Jefferson County, Alabama. Look at all that rain that's coming down. It's coming down over a super saturated environment. The south, we've seen 2 feet in some spots of rain already this year. So the soil can't hold that much more, and that's why we're seeing so many roads flooded. We've already had reports of swift water rescues being reported all across parts of Alabama, even North Georgia, seeing some of the homes flooded and roads completely flooded through the area. So I think the saving grace in all of this is the fact that so many people are sheltered in place, staying at home, not out on the roads. But if you do and must need to travel, make sure you steer clear of any kind of flooded roadways. You do not want to be driving through these and putting yourself in danger, as well as any first responders. But of course, this is just one of the threats that we're tracking as we continue to cover this enormous threat across the South. Let's send it out into the lab with Carl Parker on the latest with these alerts.
Yeah, Liana, we've got an ongoing damaging wind threat, and certainly there could be some tornadoes as well. We are seeing a relative lull right now in the tornado threat. That doesn't mean that it's over, by no means. You've still got very strong wind fields in the atmosphere, strong low-level winds, strong upper-level winds, a really vigorous parent feature, all of those things pointing to an ongoing threat for tornadoes in addition to damaging wind. But again, right now, we don't have any tornado warnings. So let's take a look at where the action is. And storms are now leaning across the northern part of Georgia. It was a really busy night earlier tonight in North Georgia. We've got some reports of really significant damage in North Georgia, unfortunately. Right now, though, we're looking at a damaging wind threat coming across 75. Bartow, Floyd, and Polk counties under warning until 1 o'clock in the morning. Now, one thing that I find to be at least cautiously encouraging is the fact that you've got a lot of rain coming through right now. Temperatures in the far northern exurbs in the upper 60s to near 70 in the northern suburbs. So, it's not incredibly warm. If you've got, no rain and a line of storms coming through, well, then look out, because that means you're really maximizing the instability, which is tough to do at this time of the night. But then when you've got all this rain out ahead of this line, that may help to mitigate the strength of these storms somewhat. That said, we certainly have seen rotating storms in Alabama tonight with all kinds of rain around, and you've just got really, really strong wind fields. So by no means are we ruling out some rotating storms coming across the Atlanta metro. But at least for now, it appears to be mostly a damaging wind threat. We'll see how that evolves over the next couple of hours here. And our coverage, by the way, is going to continue right through the night. So here you see the leading edge of these stronger storms. I'm going to track these forward. They're moving very quickly. That's a big part of what we have seen tonight. Very fast motion. We don't have warnings extending this far to the east, but I'm tracking it out just to give you a sense in the Atlanta area of when this is going to be coming in. So moving into Canton around 113, coming into Marietta at about 123, and Smyrna at about 125 or so. So at a minimum, we're probably going to see a damaging wind threat, again, because you've got really strong wind fields, a lot of strong wind in the low levels of the atmosphere. So the storms actually don't have to have really strong updrafts to tap into that. They can be relatively modest storms and still bring a lot of that very strong wind down to the ground. So that's going to be one thing we're watching for, but we may see some spin up, some little circulations developing within the line as it comes across the Atlanta metro. And that's going to be from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 o'clock in the morning. And there is a tornado watch in effect until 6 o'clock in the morning for much of central Georgia, including Atlanta. Now, farther south, looking at a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings here, east of Montgomery. One of those in effect for Bullock and Macon and Tallapoosa counties. Another one just west of Columbus, Georgia. That is Lee and Russell counties under warning until 12:45 in the morning. So looking at the model forecast, along with those very strong low-level winds, which again fuel the damaging wind threat, but can also contribute to the formation of rotating storms, that's going to be coming through the Atlanta area 2 to 3 to 4 o'clock in the morning with those really strong winds aloft. And then it's going to be making its way into the Carolinas and central Georgia. And we may very well be looking at a severe threat all through that time. And we're going to continue our coverage right here on the Weather Channel. We'll be with you live all night and right into the morning. Stay tuned.
Hold my pouch. Trust us. Us kids are ready to take things into our own hands. Don't think so? Hold my pouch.
Oh, why you look so sad? Tears are in your eyes. Come on and talk to me. Don't be ashamed to cry. Let me see you through.
Animals are abused every day, and they can't ask for help. They endure indescribable acts of violence, but they're without a voice. Without a voice to say they're frightened and in pain. They're alone, they're scared, and they need your help.
I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you.
Visit us at joinaspca.org or call this number now to join. Sign up for just 63 cents a day, and you'll help rescue animals who are suffering. Please make this the moment that you say, I won't stand by while they suffer. When you sign up with your monthly gift, you give them the shelter and the love they deserve. Do it in the next 10 minutes, and we'll send you the photo of an animal from our shelter and a free ASPCA t-shirt. If you've wondered if your support will make a difference, I can tell you, it will. And if you've ever thought about helping, this is the time.
I'll stand by you.
It's only 63 cents a day. Please go online or call before it's too late.
It's a small finger, a worm.
Like a dagger?
Tiny sword.
Breadstick.
Matchstick.
A lamppost.
Coin slot. No.
10 seconds.
A stick, a walking stick,
Yeah,
a boundary, a Kilimanjaro, a big
Sorry. It's a tandem bicycle.
What?
As long as sloths are slow, you can count on Geico saving folks money. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
You wouldn't accept an incomplete job from anyone else, so why accept it from your allergy pills? Flonase relieves your worst symptoms, which most pills